cold, we stand surrounded. We are not alone. Within my reverie, there's holy light. Without an honor, we stand and fight. And Lord, ignite. The world is cold. We stand surrounded. We are not alone. Within my reverie, there's holy light. Without an honor, we stand and fight. Oh, 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 we are not alone. Oh, we are not alone.
Hello, hello, and welcome everybody to another Monday edition.
Hey.
So I know we're going to have some guests come on tonight. Have you heard from Yo Baby, Dustin?
Yep, her headache is getting worse and worse. She's going to take something stronger for it to help with the nauseousness and that. And I told her it's okay. We got it, and
Oh.
she'll be listening.
I know we're going to have several other people that's supposed to attend here shortly.
Yeah.
I was seeing this comment, and I'm all for this. I'm trying to straighten my stuff up.
Yeah, I was just talking to her in Messenger, and I told her that's perfectly fine,
Absolutely. So let me read this. Would it upset anyone if we had a non-denominational, inclusive moment of prayer and intention tonight for the little girl shot in Chicago and her poor father? So, as this request, we're going to do a moment of silence. If everybody will please say a prayer in whatever religion, whatever faith, love and light for this beautiful little girl. And we'll just bow our heads and take a moment to pray over this poor baby.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Cool. And you want to go ahead and then say hi to everybody. We got a few people in here.
Yeah. First, we got PPR. Hi, PPR. I had to be funny because it was in the StreamYard. Hi, Orphan. Hi, Nikki, honey.
Yeah. And let's see. You got Cool Gamer. Got Ms. Nikki, the Wandering Orphan, otherwise known as Dobermom.
All right. I wondered about that. I was like, who's Dobermom? I was sitting here looking. I couldn't find it.
Yeah, she's got Dober Grandpa, with her dog's got Grandpa, and you got she'll have to we'll have to have her come up sometime and she can show you and talk to you about them.
We got Visiting Dead Adventures. Hi. Welcome, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome. We're slowly getting started.
Yeah.
We're waiting for some of our peeps to come on.
And if you'll all notice that when you're coming in, there's a pinned comment. We created a link tree that has everyone's links into it. It's a lot easier because you just click one link and then you'll see everybody's. And hint. This amazing sister right here, she's starting to do YouTube now. She got some shorts up. Be sure to go over there and like them. Make sure you subscribe to show sister some love.
Yeah, me, this sister. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, you need to point the other way. The other way. You got to point this way. Yeah, no, the other way. Yes, no, no. Lord, I love you.
Uh, but it's got her YouTube channel on it now. It's got Zeke's link to his books. It's got Yo Baby's merch. She's got new merch now, epic merch, and more to come. It's got Yo Baby's YouTube. It's got Vickie's Reflections of the Paranormal Facebook page also, and then it's of course got this one. So it's something for our whole family in one for everybody, and it's so much easier.
Yes, I agree. Hold up.
And the links do work because we've all tried them. And hey, CC.
You're 2 minutes behind me, brother. I said, hi, CC, and you never missed a stride. I love it. I love it.
I'm slow sometimes. What can I say?
Oh, no, you're not slow. You're not slow at all.
Oh, and PW. Where's PW? I didn't see her.
Sweetheart. Oh, there she
Oh,
is.
there she is.
Hi, witchy queen.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. That's sweet.
And there's Nikki, the other Nikki,
There's Nikki. Hi, sister. Stacey,
my squirrel sister. Squirrel.
Yes.
I
Oh,
just
PW,
had a
not
squirrel.
late. We just haven't started.
Yeah. And
I-
got some guests, hopefully some guests coming. We
Got
invited
some guests in the-
Proof. See, now I'm contradicting my thoughts on it. Proof
Elite-
after or proof
Oh.
after proof afterlife or proof.
No. Did you invite Brandon? We invited Greg to come talk about his event.
Oh, that's right, Greg. See, I get it all. The squirrel.
Yeah. Yeah, Greg, JT Justice, the Boo Crew, they're having
And
the
the portal. Yeah, into the portal. Yeah, that's it. Okay.
Guys, I got to keep him straight. What am I going to do with him?
Oh, I'd be lost without Mama Vicky and sister Tanya.
Tuna salad. Ooh, that sounds good. Nikki says, it's crazy how often I squirrel. I know. I know this all too well.
Oh, you're not alone, Nikki. You're not alone.
So until Sister Yo Baby comes, we are going to say that until she's feeling better. So if y'all will say prayers for our little sister Yo Baby. She's been having some really bad migraines and this weather's not helping her. So we're going to say talking about all that until she is available to have fun with it and talk about it. Dude, I just took you out a few minutes ago. Like, for real. No. Y'all see that? You see? He's pitiful.
Go over and monitor that other one for her. There we go. All right.
Thank you, Orphan. Okay, everybody sees you. They do. They see you.
Oh, buddy.
Oh, no. Down.
Poor
Oh, baby.
buddy.
He's
I
only
can't
lost
wait to see him.
100 pounds. Mhm.
9 more days? 8 more days? 10 more days? I don't know.
I don't even know what today's date is.
The 7th.
I bet you knew it was Monday. The 7th, right? Okay.
So that's 10,
Thank you.
11, 12 more days. 12 more days, buddy.
Woohoo. Yep. Then you get to see Uncle Dustin. Yeah. Uncle Dustin. What? I was him. He said, what?
I hope Orphan is still her and her hubby JJ are still going.
Ooh. Nice.
You know, yeah.
Orphan, are y'all coming to the event? Let's see.
Oh, that's right. You know what? I got to add your TikTok to Linktree.
and Cece done beat you to it.
No, she did. So, and I don't have TikTok anymore, so I gotta try to copy it.
Right.
Oh, I can do Linktree on here.
Okay. So while we are doing this, we're kind of winging tonight since Sis was not feeling good and we're waiting
Yeah.
for people to jump on. We're going to kind of wing a little bit. So here's a thought. What would everybody like to talk about? Post it in chat. What would you like to talk about tonight? Besides laundry. Yeah.
Besides laundry.
Yeah,
I haven't even done mine yet. I've got 1 to 2 loads just of mine. I've been slacking.
Not by choice. Okay. Let's see. Well, we did have a podcast last night. Past lives. Ooh, that's a good one, sister. Okay, let's talk about past lives. All right. So, how many in chat ever remember having a past life? I'm going to start with this. Until my youngest son was between 2 and 4, he started saying things, and I never really caught on or paid attention until he was right at 4, and it was right at his birthday. Okay, so he kept saying, I had blonde hair his whole life until maybe 2021. 2021. And then I started going dark. Well, because it's naturally going white. Yeah. But and I do need to dye my hair. Well, anyway, so let's get back to the child. So I never really put much thought or deep thought, let's put it like that, into past lives. And my son kept saying, well, my other mama. Well, my other mama. And I'm like, son, you ain't got but one mama. I'm the one that carried you. I know, right? So I'm like, and he's high functioning autism. And so I kept wondering, what was he talking about? Is there somebody he's around that he was trying to remember when he was younger? He kept saying, my other mama, my other mama. Well, one night, right around his 4th birthday, he woke up and he had a bad dream. And he come flying in there, mama, 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 mama. I said, honey, what's wrong? And he's like, well, I know, Nikki. I remember you saying you did. And he kept saying, Mama, I had a bad dream. And I said, well, okay. I said, lay down here beside Mama. I said, we'll talk it through. Because that's what I do. When my kids have a bad dream, I talk it through. And, I try to pinpoint what they don't need to be scared of. And I try to calm them down so they can have good dreams of rainbows and bunnies. Okay? Because that's what a mom does. Well, anyways, he gets to tell me this story. How in a past life he was a cowboy. I said, okay, well, then mind you, for his 2nd birthday, he had a cowboy on his cake. For the longest time, it always had to be something to do with cowboys, something to do with, did you just, oh yeah, you got him. Okay. All right. So it had something to do with cowboys or, the little pony horses or anything like that. But he's always big into cowboys. So I'm like, at first I'm like, well, I wonder, so I'm like, is he talking about cowboys or is this something, So my mind's already starting to wonder, trying to see if it's his imagination or what. So as we're laying there, he gets to tell me, he's like, well, Mama, he's like, I said, okay. So first of all, his name is Jedediah. So he's got an older name, and it's a very, very old biblical name. And I asked him, I said, well, Bubba, what was your name in your past life? Well, first of all, let me backtrack. So he said, he said, I had a bad dream. And I said, what was your bad dream about? And he said, my past life. Okay, I never talked about past life with my kids. First of all, because I never put thoughts into it. So if I didn't put thoughts into it, I would have never said it to him. So how in the world at 4 years old is he coming out of his mouth with past life? Okay, so then that's when I kind of set up and just done one of those numbers. Y'all feel me? So then I'm like, okay, well, tell me what was your name in your past life? And he said, Cowboy Jed. And I'm like, okay. Well, let's see. Back in the cowboy days, they did have the name Jedediah. They did have the name Jed. It was a very common name back during the cowboy days. Okay. So I'm like, okay, well, it could still work hand in hand. Well, then I said, well, okay, so finish telling me about the dream. I was like, do you remember your mama or your daddy's name? And he said, no. And he said, but my daddy was in my dream. And I said, well, did you have brothers and sisters? And he said, yes, I had one brother. And I said, okay. And I said, well, finish telling me about your dream. What was going on in your dream? And he said, Mama, we was running horses and we was on them horses and we were going really fast. And he said, and then he was like, he said, he said, there was a bunch of men or a group of men that was after us. And then he gets to tell me, then there was all these bee stings. I said, bee stings? And he said, yeah. He says, I was trying to get to the door. He said, and my daddy and my brother got killed by these bee stings. He said, and then all of a sudden, he said, this trap came down and got me, and I was behind bars.
Wow.
So I just looked at him and I said, well, okay. I said, this is just a dream, it's a nightmare. And so I calmed him down for the night. And as the next morning rode around, and I'm studying over this, and I'm pondering over this, and I'm like, for the last 2 years, he'd been telling me, well, my other mom, and I'd always ask him, well, okay, I'd tell him, I'm your only mama you got. I'm, blah blah blah. Well, I remember a couple times I said, well, what's your other mama's name? Well, I don't remember, but she's got black hair, short black hair, mind you. And I had long blonde hair at this time. And all his life, I had mostly long blonde hair, or at least shortly. And so I got to pondering over this for several days. And I'm like, first of all, he just turned 4, didn't know what past life is, didn't know what it meant. And he was a cowboy. And what could these things represent? Bullets. So if in his past life,
Wow.
there was a posse chasing him and his dad and his brother, and his dad and brother died from all the bee stings. Could have possibly been bullets from a posse. And all of a sudden, before he could open the door to the house, he got caught in a trap, and it was bars all around him. So I'm assuming he got caught and put in jail.
Wow.
Now, is that a particular past life I would love for my son? No, no. But how weird is it, or uncanny, should I say, is it that at 4 years old, he's coming up, and mind you, the only thing he watched at that time was Baby First, and he's autistic. So he didn't even really watch TV because it TV didn't catch his attention. And so he was more hands on with everything. So all this stuff he would have never known, nor would it have clicked. So, and the fact, how weird is it that out of all the names, I named him Jedediah and I call him Jed. That is his nickname that I call him. And I sing him, this is a story about a man named Jed, the millionaire. But so that got me deep into doing past life regression, or doing research on it. And after that, I think he talked about it one more time. And then after that, he never talked about it again. And then now to this day, I can ask him, and he has no clue. But what I did find out was through a lot of research is that a lot of kids who have memories of past lives, once they get out the story that they need to get out or that trauma that hit them, then they start regressing on the memory, and a lot of them even forget it over the years.
Mhm.
And I thought that was neat. So, has anybody put their past life regression in there? Anybody ever had a past life?
We have.
We have.
All right, guys. Well, welcome to the show.
Yep. Hello, welcome back.
Hey.
Guys.
Like I said, you're always welcome anytime. Just,
Well, we love
appreciate it.
joining y'all. Yeah.
oh, we love when seeing all your epic evidence that you guys get.
Of course. We love share.
So let's go ahead and say hi before we start on you guys. Let's go ahead and say hi to the other ones that's jumped in. Kenneth has jumped in. Hi, Kenneth. Let's see.
Hey, Kenneth.
Where was it at? Mr. Rogers in the neighborhood. Oh, sorry.
Won't you be my neighbor?
Salem. Hi, Salem.
Oh, which one is it from?
And then I'll have to go through and read. Make sure, guys, if y'all had a past life, please feel free to share and post it in comments. We'll read it. We'll talk about it. Now, while we're waiting for that, who wants to go first, Justin or Greg?
Oh God.
Let's hear your.
Do you care who goes first?
I don't care.
You don't care. Okay. I'll go first. And I just turned on the comments too. I just flipped over. I'll just say hey real quick. I saw Wandering Orphan said hi. A couple other people said hi. Just hey. But I'll start. I've had a couple of sessions done, and Greg and I are very fortunate, and it's very unique that we've had, when we've done both of our past life regressions in both of our sessions separately, and we were never in the same room like you're supposed to. No one's in the room with you. You haven't prepped or prepared anything, and if you're done right, it's all your subconscious talking. So it's nothing that you could have prepared to say. In each of our different sessions, at least the first time, I know maybe even more than that, both of our subconsciouses and our past lives reference that Greg and I have been in many lives together. But one of the ones that was cool to me is one that I wasn't even human. I actually had a past life that I was a red-tailed fox.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
I've had 3 past life regression sessions, and 2 of the 3 have both brought up the fox. So I've done a lot of research into it and looked into it and looked behind, is this my spirit animal? Which, I've looked into that, and I've pondered it for a while, but this just piqued the curiosity, even more, and I had to scratch the itch. So I I went and looked at it, and I was looking at all the attributes and things that are associated with people that have a fox spirit animal, and it really does kind of speak to me. It really does.
Don't keep us in suspense.
Right? What did I see in the...
What does it mean?
So, people that are very clever, people that are adaptive and very good with change, people that are quick on their feet, and clever is kind of like the stigma. People think, oh, it's just because you're clever. And a lot of people think, when you think of a fox, I guess just American pop culture and stuff, people think, oh, that's mischievous, that, sneaky. No, there's a lot more to it than that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a lot of things that kind of just checked the boxes for me, and I was just like, you have a natural curiosity for things. You have a independence, but you're also codependent. So a lot of things that are some are situational, but a lot of them are kind of just part of my traits of who I am. It just really checked off a lot of boxes. But
Right. Well, I mean, it describe you in a lot of ways.
it does.
Because I know, you know.
Yeah, Sis knows. She goes, that sounds like me.
Okay. All right.
Yep. And I another one of my lives that I remembered that was very, very vivid was a life, and I'm trying to remember everything that was going on. So in there, I wasn't just seeing myself. I remembered a lot of the scenery and stuff that was going on around me in that particular, I guess, window.
Mhm.
And when I came to into where I was put, it was dark. It was nighttime. It was old cobblestone streets, and it looked kind of like
Because
you
I know
think,
that cobblestone.
huh?
Over in England and English and all through there, they used to have cobblestones. Was that where you was at?
That well, and what I think, and I don't know for sure because there was just so much that I could get while I was in that part of the session. But what I picked up on is I felt like I was like in France because I was looking at the different architecture and I could actually remember distinctive parts of like the buildings, and it was kind of gothic looking, and I remembered the buildings were made of stone and stuff, but it wasn't like primitive. It was more sophisticated, so it made me think of kind of a well established England or Europe, kind of like what you were saying.
Mhm.
And I was wearing, I remembered like the certain kind of boots I was wearing. I could even describe to a T. I remembered like where the straps were, and there were buckles, and there were these brass little fixtures, not fixtures, but like accents on the shoes and stuff. And I could, and
Oh.
it was really interesting. And then I stopped at a building in the dream, and I was supposed to like go and cross the threshold, and something told me not to.
Yeah.
And then what?
Buckles, wouldn't that have to have been the 16th century?
If
I
for
think
what now?
I think the buckles on the shoe, I think that was like back in the 16th century or no.
Oh yeah. Like it was, I didn't pin it down exactly to a time. Like I could say, oh, it's like within a, 10, 15, 20 year range or whatever like that. But I kind of deduced it was somewhere around that time too. Um,
My paranormal search.
but it was very interesting. But something told me not to go into this building because I felt like just looking at the clothes that I was wearing, I felt like I was somebody kind of like a lord or something like that. It just felt very kind of regal, or at least high society.
Yeah. Yeah.
And something told me not to go in this building, and then the building caught fire, and there was actually a murder
Oh my
and
God.
arson.
Oh.
So it was interesting. I didn't quite deduce what it was trying to tell me, but I guess maybe if anything that just kind of came to mind, it was listen to my instincts. But that was an interesting one for me. But
Definitely.
what about you, Greg?
Well, I've had several too because I've done 2 or 3 sessions of past life regression. But I think I guess the one that stands out first is several years ago I had a dream that I was a woman and it felt like it was in the Civil War time. But I looked down and I was wearing like dark navy, like high heels or like flat heels or something, and a blue and white striped dress. And as I started looking up, like the dream quit. So flash forward a few more years, I had a past life regression, and I actually went into that life that I was a woman in the Civil War. I don't exactly know where my husband was, but he wasn't around at the time, and I was trying to save my house. I was trying to keep the Confederate soldiers from going into my house and taking over my house, because there was something in the house that I didn't want them to find. But it never come to light in that session anyway. What was there? It just felt like I was hiding something, hiding someone, something like that.
Part of an espionage.
And it even went as far as like I was trying to say my sister was around too, so it was just me and my sister that was living in the house. She happened to not be there at the time, and I had seen soldiers that had a gray like uniform out in the field or the corn or whatever, and they were sneaking up, trying to sneak up on me and take over my house. And my consciousness tends to be a little bit sarcastic and a little bit of an asshole sometimes. so
Never.
so the lady, and I actually found out her name was Elizabeth Davis.
Oh wow, you got a first and a last name.
I got her first and last name, and and like as I was talking in this past life regression, it says she goes, I see those soldiers out there. They don't think that I see them, but I see them. And
It almost reminds me, I don't mean to interrupt, but it almost reminds me of like, you know how when the redcoats were coming and they would hide the other military men? So you're telling this, I'm wondering if you didn't have like a group of guys that you were hiding from the other military
I was
soldiers.
thinking I might have been hiding slaves or something too. I never got that far in it. I just know that I didn't want them to get in my house, and I was going to do everything in my power for them not to come in my house. And then the closer they got, I run in and got a gun that was mounted over top of the fireplace, and I started shooting at them. They shot me, and I ended up laying like on my back on the porch. And you know how people painted the top of their porch blue, light baby blue during that time? That was the last thing that I seen. And then my subconscious, being sarcastic, said, well, they might have got me, but I got a few of them too. So,
That definitely sounds southern.
yeah.
Did you ever figure out like if it was Civil War like once or
It seemed to be in the Civil War time, and I actually even know where she's buried at too. I got that much information.
okay?
She's buried in Mount Olivet Cemetery in Nashville.
So
And
see, I
yeah,
said she sounded southern.
and the thing about that is, the weird thing is, I used to work at Mount Olivet Cemetery, and I've always felt drawn to Mount Olivet Cemetery for some reason.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I worked there for like a year. And that was before the past life regression and before the dream. I just always felt drawn to that location for some reason.
Yes. All right. What was that? Hold up. I said, oh, there you go.
Okay, hold on. Real quick, since we got 9 people in here, we are duo live streaming. I dropped the link for Yo Baby's channel. We will still see your comments when you go over there. If you don't mind, please just go say hi and show some love to her on there. Make sure that you're following her, if you don't mind. Okay.
Mhm. Okay.
Vicky.
So that was pretty wild. Is that the only past life regression?
No. But with the Mount Olivet, I haven't done it yet, but I do plan on going and trying to do research and see if I can find where she's actually buried at. The thing with Mount Olivet is there's so many graves up there, and it's 200 acres of cemetery,
Oh, wow.
and a lot of them, the records have been lost, or if they have the records, you can't find exactly where the grave is because
Well,
the headstone has fell over and like sunk or something.
have you tried find a grave to see if maybe a relative may have pinned it on there, or?
I haven't yet, but that's a good suggestion. I didn't really even think of that, but yeah, that's a good suggestion. And when I worked there, I know they had a guy that done the research because there's a lot of people that always come there and try to find like relatives or like people from the Civil War and things like that they're interested in, or there's even some of the Civil War generals and things that are buried up there. There's mass graves that are up there, so there's a lot of people that are up there. So it will take some research to try to find it, I think. But at least I have a name, but there are a lot of Davises that I've noticed that are buried up there.
Didn't you say something, Greg, about didn't the archdiocese have a lot of domain over the property at one point?
They did, and it split. So it might even be on the archdiocese, their Catholic side as well. So, and it's harder to get records from the archdiocese because they're just hard to get a hold of, and they don't have anybody on site that goes through their records.
It's a lot of red tape.
Yeah, but it would probably take, I don't know, probably at least several weekends to probably even go like back-to-back weekends just to even start to try to find some kind of record of where she's at. But I mean, I plan on doing it when I do get the downtime, but because it's definitely interesting.
Justin, Orphan said when you were talking about how you used to be a fox, I'm scrolling, and she said she hoped nobody hunted you. I hope not.
So, funny you say that. So like I said, I had 2 back-to-back past life regression things that actually talked about the fox. And one of the 2 that the fox came up, I was hunted.
Oh, wow.
However, I was running because I remember I felt like my heart was in my throat. And I was just running and running and running. And I could hear dogs barking. And it also made me think maybe like England, like when they used to hunt send the hounds.
Yes, they still like the princes and stuff. Don't they still do that? Like Prince Harry and all them, don't they still do that? The fox chase.
So?
I think so. I think they're just really. Thank you for bringing me your mouse. My cat. I don't know if y'all heard her. She meowed and then she brought me her mouse and put it in my lap.
She hunted the mouse just like they hunted me.
I know. She's like, you're a hunter too, Mama.
Yeah.
But in that part though about me being hunted, I was pretty quick and I was pretty slick. I hid inside of a hollowed log. And I was able to like be quiet, and I evaded them, and I didn't get caught. So it worked out in my favor, I guess.
Right.
I took that. If I took a message from that, I think it was just I'm a survivor. Like I've had a lot of things that I've gone through in my life. Yeah, yeah. That I'm a survivor and I've gotten through a lot of different rough times in my life, and that I've always gotten through it on the other side. So,
Dustin, did you take that off?
Oh, so sometimes I double click it and there we go.
No, that ain't it. Oh, thank you, CC.
Well, which one?
I scrolled all the way up.
Oh no!
You. I think it was PW. PW, correct me if I'm wrong. She had said, I was waiting. She had said that she was a maiden in a
Oh,
past life.
Yeah, I saw that. I'll scroll up for you.
Okay, I think I went too far just then. All right, so sorry. Now we got to read everybody in chat. Let's see. Orphan, did you put yours on here? I know you said something about it being lengthy, but it don't matter. Just keep typing and I'll click on it and we'll read through it.
And I promise I won't flubber it up again.
Oh, here it is. So PW says, my witchy queen, she says, I think I was queen maiden in my past life. Now, she commented something below too. Hold on. Now I got to scroll down. And Wandering Orphan said, I've been told by several people about mine, and they knew about my phobia before I even mentioned it. Ooh, what's your phobia? I got two. Well, three. I have a fear of spiders. Don't nobody come at me with a spider unless you want to die. Then, I know, brother tries it all the time. He's mean, guys. He tortures me. And then I have a fear of flying heights. Flying in heights. Oh, and being underground and enclosed, like claustrophobia. Yeah. No, not me. So what is yours? And so PW also says she feels like she's an old soul back from Henry VIII era. And then there was something else. I know she commented. And Orphan says she comes from the late 1800s, according to mediums and a few reverends. Okay, let's see. Where is...
I saw the Natalie Wood comment. That's pretty cool.
Oh, I'll have to get to that. I haven't got down to that. All right.
Spoiler.
Oh, that's okay, because I'm scrolling. I was trying to get it from top to bottom.
Wandering Orphan said that she was
PW said, Orphan, that's still interesting. I've always speak strangely, and I don't feel like I belong in this era. I don't either. Guys, I believe that back in the day, I used to own and run a brothel.
I was a brothel dancer in one of my lives.
So maybe we had a little harem together.
Maybe. Like, I always feel like I've always got a thing with dancing and music. And I used to want, when I was growing up, even as a kid, like I wanted to be a Rockette, if anybody remembers them. I did not grow in height. I'm sure I got short legs and it did not work out for me. But I've always been drawn to that, like the burlesque or the can and stuff like that. I really believe that I used to own a brothel back in the day. I believe I was the one who ran it. I wasn't one of the women who worked it, mind you. No. But I do believe I was the boss of one. Okay, I'll take you out.
I was a grave digger.
Now that doesn't surprise me. Let's see. I have to. Oh, Wandering Orphan. No, I couldn't look into it because I didn't get any last names as far as my son goes. I never did get a last name, nor did I get him his father's name, which I could have tried to pull up through there because I did pull up like the name Jedediah, and I did find that there was a bunch back during that day. What would, it would have made sense during the cowboy days. Um, let's see. And when you're an orphan, I will talk to you more about the Asperger's because I'm curious to see how your mind works. Let's see. Lord, I have got to get down here to it. I know she put. I don't know what this means. PW, what does this mean? Your soul's been around the global and died so many horrible ways. Who are you talking about? That's awful. Not like awful comment, but awful. Like I hate the people who had a past life like that. That's for sure.
Vickie, I'm sorry, I didn't remember. You said besides spiders, what were some of your other phobias?
Oh, flying, heights, flying. I have a fear of falling. Like it's bad. If I fly, I've got to go to the doctor. I've got to get medication. Like it's. Oh yes, no. Like I have a fear of enclosed dark places. So like cave diving and stuff. That's not me. I don't do caves. As long as I see the outside, I'll walk into the beginning of a cave. But if I get to where it could be an earthquake and it caves in on me, no.
So you'll go into as far as a cave as far as the sunlight will go.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm not afraid of heights, but I won't be on a plane unless I'm the one flying the plane and I don't have a license, so it's not happening.
Right. All right. So, an orphan. Okay. So, I need you to explain this for me, please. Okay. Tell me if it sounds familiar. Horrible stage mother, early career based on looks, trauma bond relationship, doting mother, drowned via neglect, died a few years before my birth, but on my birthday. Are you talking about you or are you talking to PW? Like, I need to know who we're talking about. Let's see. Should have been going through this. A lot of this was while I was talking too, and then Justin talking. All right, I'm scrolling. Let's see. I can do audio fresh lip injections. Okay. Open up fresh lip injections.
And while you're talking about her, she just did a invitation. She said that we know where to find her if you ever want to join and do a discussion about Asperger's. And
Oh, yes, I would love to. I would love to. Absolutely love to. Buddy, leave the cat alone.
That's my profession. I'm a mental health care worker. I take care of mentally challenged and disabled people.
Mm-hmm. Yes, my baby is beautiful. He's smart. He's funny. He's quick-witted. He, you know, those F around and find out type people. That's him all day, every day, 100%. There's no filter. There's no, it's 0 to 100. Do not stop it, go. But he is the sweetest, lovable thing, and like, he's funny. And I'm talking about funny. Like he has got the wildest, funniest sense of humor, and it'll just come out of nowhere. Nowhere. And I just look at him, and he'll start talking, and I crack up. And guys, for me to crack up, like my sense of humor, I've got a very quirky sense of humor, so I laugh at myself a lot. That I do. But I don't find a lot of things funny. But when, like me and him, we can just sit down and he'll just and I'll bust out laughing. He really is my little comedian. He doesn't try to be, you know, it's just his personality. God love him. I wish I was like that. I really do. All right, so did we ever get down? Sorry, squirreled. Did we ever get down to the end of PW's comment?
I don't think so. Maybe. I don't think we did.
Let's see. Again, you have to others. Okay. So, sorry, guys. I should have been on top of this a little bit better. Sorry.
Oh, it's easy to sometimes when we get to talk, and it's easy for the comments to get away from us.
I can slow them down a little bit if you want.
No. I don't think we need to slow it down. I just needed to not space. Okay, so this was the other part. So the only past life right now that I saw was the Queen Maiden one. Well, that was yours, silly duck. Yeah, I seen that. I died because my lover betrayed me with another woman. What, girl? I need more. I need more tea on that. That sounds like one of my romance novels or something. I need some more tea. Like names. What did he look like? Like, was he 6'2"? Was he broad shouldered? Was he ugly and we just had to kick him to the curb? I mean, like, look.
That totally, I know I'm not making light of her past life by any means, and I don't mean this in any disrespect, but what just popped in my head when I was reading that was the old Orbit commercial. Who are you calling a cootie queen? You lit liquor.
That's hilarious. Let's see. But I mean, on a serious note, okay. PW, I mean, it sounds tragic, and it sounds like you should have came back and haunted them. Just saying. If my lover betrayed me for another woman and I died because of it, I would be hating somebody.
Hey, Chanel.
Yeah.
Chanel's in the chat.
Hi, Chanel. Why are you in chat? You need to come on panel. So, what is in that area? It kind of makes sense what I went through now because it repeated itself. What?
Hey, Chanel.
Hi, Chanel.
Hey, Nikki.
I went through now because it repeated itself 2 years old. Wow. Okay.
So,
So Nikki had said this to you, Greg. Go into the dream state, Greg, and ask her where to go. That's a great idea. Go, Nikki.
Cool.
See what, Dustin? What was you going to say, honey?
Cece's over on Yo Baby's side, and she's over there talking too. And I was just, we can see what she's saying, but PW. Oh no, right there she is. Okay, now it's showing up because she was saying, yeah, spill the tea, PW, spill the tea.
That's right, Cece. Way to come in there, girl. That's right, PW. We need the tea. And the tea that comes from Chanel, that's her thing. And I totally jacked it. We need the tea.
And
Bud, is Bud Falls in here? Bud, you should sub my channel. Sublet. It's for survivors and their support system. Who's Bud?
the Bud
I think
Files.
that was the reference to me about the Survivor and the Fox thing.
Oh, okay. Because I thought.
That was what I took from it, but
Okay. No, that. Okay. Because, I mean, I didn't see Bud Falls. See
And,
Asylum or Elysium. Elysium?
Elysium.
This
Elysium.
Elysium.
That's it.
And Chanel, any of the Vixen members are more than welcome up. Even if you can't, they're more than welcome.
Ooh, Natalie Woods. That's where she was talking about. Okay. So Wanted Orphan Nikki was Natalie Woods. I mean, she was the bomb today.
What
She
makes you think what drew her to that conclusion that she thinks that she was Natalie Wood in another life?
That would be. I'm curious about that. That'd be really cool.
Yes.
Awesome.
Make sure you answer that. What led you to the conclusion, Nikki, Orphan, that you were Natalie Woods? All right. And then Nikki said, I have a fear of one thing because of my past life in Atlantis. Nikki, what is your one thing?
Oh, wait a minute. Why isn't she blue?
Who?
I thought, because she's under the Elite Vixen. That's why. Last time she was here, she was under Chanel. Yeah, so hold on. That way, say, there we go.
But Nikki, I'll have to ask you more about how to get into the dream state. I'm not really familiar about how to actually do that by myself anyway.
I can show them a little bit.
Aw. Thank you. I can't. EPE. I'm just gonna call you EPE because it's not. Anyways, gotta go to bed. Building a new editing studio. What? You go on with your bad self in. But, okay. And I hope you have a good night's sleep.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay.
Thanks for stopping in.
Exactly.
Hey, did you see Orphan's comment, Dustin?
Yeah, I can hop up.
For project and tell us about her
Yeah,
past life.
yeah, I can send her the link if you want.
Yeah, send her a link and let her tell us her past life. Let's see. Because she said hers was lengthy anyways. Thank you, Cece.
Okay, right there.
Thank you so much. That's it for you. Just what drives me.
Nikki, Vicky. There's so many ickies right here. Okay.
Okay. So Nikki said, aside from Atlantis, I've had past life in Jesus' time, and I remember him speaking, and the senses came alive in his mere presence.
Yeah.
And the senses came alive in his mere presence. Wow.
I think it's this one.
I know Nikki has a big link to like Native American
Oh,
heritage and stuff too. So I'm pretty sure that she had to have a life as a Native American too.
yeah.
At
She
least
did. I
one.
picked the first time I ever met Nikki, guys, I I saw this Native American man stand behind her,
Mm-hmm.
and he was huge. And his energy off him, oh my God. Y'all know me. I get hyper sometimes, yes, but I felt like I had drunk 3 energy drinks from this man. Playing. That was the first time I ever met Nikki, and I was looking at Nikki, and I was looking behind her, and I was like, first time I met her, I was like, she's gonna think I'm crazy because she's never met me. And I looked at Nikki and I was like, of course, this was years ago. I was like, Nikki, do you know that you've got a Native American man standing behind you? I said, "Do you know anything about that?" And she was like, yes, I do. I was like, okay, as long as you know. And so he's like one of her protectors. Like he watches over her, and she was a Native American back in her
Yeah.
past life.
She just put on there that she was a full blooded Native American healer. I see that definitely for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And here's the other Nikki.
Howdy, howdy.
Hey.
Hey.
How are you lovely people doing tonight?
Fine. How are you doing, sweetheart?
Oh, 5 by 5 and doing better now. Glad you guys are up here.
About Natalie Woods and your past.
It's weird. It's always the first thing that comes up anytime I talk to anybody that's like highly spiritual. They just like if they're looking at my hand or I'm Russian as well. So I also practice osteomancy, which sounds really awful and dark, but it's actually just you have a collection of objects that are meaningful to you that you've collected through the years. You assign them a purpose, and you just keep them
Stop.
in like
Pause.
other container. And
Pause.
yeah,
What do you
you
mean
just
you assign them a purpose? Explain.
well, the way it was best explained to me is having high functioning autism. Objects retain as most of them don't mean anything to me, but certain ones that are really weird and somebody would be like, oh my gosh, that's junk, throw it away. It was in your pocket, like for how long? I'm like, no, that's special because I found that on my first date with my husband, so I got to keep it with me, you know? So, yeah, so stuff like that, like the weird little meaningful trinkets that, I feel like everybody collects, but I really collect in a little box and you just toss them on a map and it just basically is separated between, family and friends, like your dreams and your obstacles. And it's that type of thing. And it where they land kind of is how you read it. And I've had reverends that have sat down, just we've held hands and just prayed or, really put, deep prayer and thought on something. And then I've had, your new age psychics, that type of thing. Or, even one chick at a carnival was the first person who ever like read my palm. And the first thing they always say is, do you know who you were? And I'm like, I do, but let's see if you do.
Right?
Let's test your metal here. Who do you think I was? And they're like, let me ask you this. Are you terrified of water? And do you know how to swim? And I'm like, absolutely not. I don't know how to swim. And yes, I am scared of water. And they're like,
Mhm.
what's your relationship like with your mom? And as soon as they say that, I know where they're going with it. And I'm like, it could be better. And they're like, you're Natalie Wood, and you already knew that. And I was like, yeah, I've heard that so many times from so many people. Like everybody, that's the first thing they say anytime they sit down and like map, read anything. She died on my birthday. She had a horrible, I'm going to say abusive stage mom, where you just used for how much money you can make with,
The Dearest
how,
movie.
yeah, you just get raised like you got an expiration date stamped on your ass. Sorry, cussing.
Oh, you're fine.
Girl, come on.
Seriously.
Coming out of his mouth.
Oh, man. As soon as these chubby cheeks are gone, if these dimples don't pop, how much money am I going to be worth?
That's hilarious.
So,
Um,
yeah, I actually am very, very terrified of water. And I didn't even know who Natalie Wood was the first time that I had, like I said, a carnival psychic. I just went in for fun. And at this point, I'm both going to Baptist and Catholic church 5 times a week. Total. I'm super, like, just terrified of anything that might be paranormal, thinking it's, oh my gosh, it's the devil. Like, and somebody, like, said, that woman keeps looking at you and pointing at you. It's a carnival. They do that. I get it now. But before, I'm like a 17-year-old kid, and I was like, she must be calling to me, So I went in there, and like the first thing she said was, she was like, do you know who you were? And I was like, I don't even know who I am yet. Like, I'm a baby. Like, and she was telling me about all this, and she's like, in your past life, and she didn't tell me I was Natalie Wood until the very end of it, but she was telling me what Natalie's life was like reading my palm. And I was like, but that's like my life now. I don't know. I don't want to drown. I'm terrified of drowning. Like, I won't go anywhere near water. Like, if it's not 5 feet or less, I won't go in water. I won't even think about it. I don't like it above like my belly button. And she kept going with it. And then she said, you should really figure out who Natalie Wood is, because that was your past life. And I was like, how am I going to find her? Like,
Look through the movie.
right. I was like, where did she live? How am I going to find her? And she's like, oh my gosh, watch any movie.
Uh-huh.
But yeah,
Yep. She was beautiful too.
mhm.
gorgeous. I mean, I don't know. Is that narcissistic to say that? I don't have the same
No.
thing. I don't have it.
Oh,
Um,
it's it.
Go ahead and ask, or whatever.
okay.
go ahead.
I was just going to ask Nikki, have you ever been out to California?
Yes, I lived there for a decade.
How close to Catalina Island?
Shut up. Wait, what?
How close?
How close to Catalina Island?
Okay. No, that's not in my profile. How did you know that?
Are you serious?
Shut up. How did you know that? Okay,
I just got something right here.
goosebumps right now. How did you know that?
I literally popped in my head, and that's also where Natalie Wood died.
Justin's sensitive too, honey.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. What's crazy is not my most problematic ex, but the one that probably would have been the one that would have ended up like taking me down, because it was like that sneaky type of
Ooh.
horrible, you know what I mean? Where like they gaslight you to the point where you think everything's fine. And you think, oh, well, we get along. We have all the same interests. So this is just me being crazy. He was that one. So not the most dangerous one that actually tried to end my life, but the more dangerous one that I think could have actually pulled it off. That's where he used to take me.
Oh, wow.
Uh,
Oh.
it was a split between Catalina and Coronado,
Mm-hmm.
also goes to San Diego.
Like,
So,
wouldn't
um,
Natalie
That's
her
crazy.
oh my God, shut up. Are you sure you're
Girl,
not talking?
have to do some research on Natalie Woods and her ending now?
Oh my gosh.
It was also another weird question, Nikki. I'm not trying to freak you out, I promise. Is and this is an odd question, like I said. Do
Okay.
you despise being cold? Are you like a person that's cold natured? Like you have to be in blankets all the time?
No, I love being cold. I love it, but I want a blanket at the same time. To where
Okay.
I mean, I think it's because I'm Russian, but that's just the way it goes.
Because it's interesting you said that too, because how Natalie would kind of led up to her death is that she was drinking
Mm-hmm.
and that she had gotten a little too inebriated, in which we all know when you get a little too much to drink, you can get, oh, it's hot in here kind of thing. But
Oh, yeah.
also she died from a combination of drowning, but also hypothermia.
Oh my God.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Okay, I'm
So
gonna need you to take several seats. You're giving me too many goosebumps, bud. I'm good right now. Like, oh my God. Messing with me.
Alive when you went in the water.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Dude. Did you hear my Dobermans barking?
Yeah, I heard.
Something. I didn't know what it was.
No,
I didn't either.
whenever I get freaked out, my dogs go crazy because they know I have autism, so they're protective. So Baba Yaga just started going nuts and told Slevin, like, go check on your mom.
So another question: have you ever had a full past life regression session?
What?
Have you ever had a full past life regression session?
I have twice, and it was not the Natalie. I will be 100%. It was not the Natalie Wood life. It was two different ones.
Mm.
Yeah.
And one was I don't know how that one ended because I was too afraid, and apparently I started freaking out during the session. And JJ actually like woke me and snapped me out of it because he said that I was just like barely breathing. It was just like like that, and he was worried about me, and he woke me, and I just like I was saying, I guess in my sleep, I don't want to go in the farmhouse, like freaking out.
Yeah.
And he said, what were you having a nightmare about, baby? And I was like, I honestly I don't know, but like it was like a guided trance where it's like pre-recorded, and you just like you listen to it enough that you finally like get in the mindset of it, and then it happens just like without knowing when it's going to happen. Sorry, I'm gesturing a lot with my hands right now.
Right.
Big old fat lips, but I just remember being in front of this farmhouse and just having this feeling like if I go in, I'm not coming out. Like this is where I die. Like I just remember thinking that like this is where I die and it's gonna hurt. And this is coming from somebody who's been legally dead 3 times. So it was a very like foreboding sense of like I'm gonna die painful and long. To where it was like but the first time I ever did it was okay. I died in childbirth. That was the first one I remember around the Gilded era. And oddly enough, my husband was my love interest, and he was quite wealthy, and I was quite not. And my aunt that I've always felt was like a real mother to me, was my mother in that life, and she was like the head stewardess, I guess you would say, of their family's like house or whatever. And I had just started up as like, your what's it called? The entry level new game spawn type chambermaid type. You know what I mean? Never played an strategy with that type of scenario. It was like, like the entry level chambermaid type thing. And he and I just instantly like clicked. And it was, obviously a pregnancy out of wedlock situation. And it was pretty taboo, but I ended up dying in childbirth. And I actually did die during my cesarean. I was legally pronounced dead twice. Like they pronounced me dead to my husband and my daughter, who was 2 at the time, and then came back in and told him, we got her going, we got her back. And then came back in again to tell him, sorry, we lost her, she died again.
Oh, wow.
Came back in a second time and said, okay, we got her back this time, and this time we think she's stable. And he was like, could you not do this in front of our freaking 2-year-old?
Yeah.
But
For real.
hospitals, what can you say? Yeah, but
Turn the kids.
that's how you find out you're allergic to morphine, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found out the hard way.
Yeah, it's so fun.
Well,
I started to say, if you ever did have a past life regression and actually went into the Natalie Wood life, there's
I
still
haven't done that.
questions about who actually threw her overboard.
And
So,
honestly, that's always been my goal whenever I do the past life regressions, but I haven't ever gone there.
mm.
Mm.
It's
Sometimes if it doesn't take you there,
It's for a reason.
it's for a reason. It means that your soul or your consciousness is not ready to see that yet, or not ready to be put into that type of situation.
Or it was so traumatic that it's trying to help you because it doesn't think you're ready to come to terms with everything that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know, I'm a firm believer, but like people have soul circles, and I don't know what everybody else in the chat and on the channel believes, but I personally believe in reincarnation.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's your heaven. I think the person that you are determines what your heaven will be after you pass away, and that's how you come back. And I think that, obviously they didn't really have any type of restoration processes or any type of emergency, life-saving procedures back when the Bible, the Quran, all these things were written. So I think that it's not really an experience somebody could have and share back in those days when it was written. But I think that that's kind of, it touches on the same idea that like the person that you are, the things that you serve, and the ideals and, values that you assert in your life, that those determine what you get after you pass away. And I think that you have a soul circle that you gravitate towards, like, like my daughter and I have always felt like she was my little sister.
Mm-hmm.
Like this life, at least. I don't know about past lives or whatever, but I've always felt like, and I know it's a crazy thing to say, and everybody says it's just because my little sister was born
Nothing
4
crazy at all.
Yeah. My baby sister's only 4 years older than my daughter. So, and I had my daughter almost 4 years after getting married. So she was a late baby. But I mean, I'm kind of afraid though. I think honestly, you're touching on something here again, guys, where it's like, what if I went back and I wasn't seeing those people's face that I know as stars? I was seeing people I know instead. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's weird. It's weird. It's weird. It's weird.
Was definitely interesting.
Yeah.
Like I would have to keep going back for more sessions or whatever. I need to go and have one done.
Yeah.
Yes.
To see.
Has anybody ever had a future life experience?
What do you mean?
It's possible. I've known people who've had the past life regressions and they've seen something in the future. It's not as common, but sometimes, and it sounds cliche, but they will show you that if there's something they're like wanting corrective action, And so they're trying to give you heads up about something so you don't go down a certain path.
I don't
But
recommend
but
No.
it does happen, but it's very I don't want to put a number to it, but it is pretty rare.
And there's this lady that I've done a lot of, like, listened to a lot of her stuff about past life regression and stuff. Her name is Dolores Cannon, and she talks about how when she started doing the regressions that she was doing it to help people, and then it come out that the other side kept telling her all this information. And I mean, she even talked to Nostradamus at one point, and he was telling her, he was like telling her what his quatrains meant that nobody
Would
can
have ever
actually get
known.
right.
Yeah.
Oh,
And so it's very interesting. So if you want to learn more about the past life regression and things like that, listen to some or read some of Dolores Cannon's books. They are very, very interesting. Unfortunately, she's passed away. Right, she has passed away. But Vickie, we know Bear was taught by Dolores Cannon how to do past life regression.
What?
Yes,
He was actually one of her pupils.
yeah.
I did not know this.
So,
Yeah.
so Bear,
Piping hot tea.
that is so weird. It's not like when you like have it. It's not like they're telling you think about your past life, think about your life now, and try to find a common thread. It's not like that. It's all random stuff that they're talking about. Imagine yourself in this situation with a choice between this or this, and really meditate and focus on your soul's like origin and what makes your soul yours.
yeah.
And I mean, oh my goodness, but I've had one future thing, and like, I mean, obviously, you guys can tell it's affected me because I don't, I won't say I have a religion per se that's defined, but I'm part of an organization, and it does have a religious background and certain, like, a certain tone set to it. And there's a lot of pressure to be public and forefront, and I don't like that. And it was just kind of reinforced with that future life thing because it was in the not too distant future, which kind of disrupted me as well. But I was pretty well to do, pretty well known, and my husband was doing the stage setup of a thing that I was at, like speaking at. And I remember just seeing him and just being like, I was looking, I had a gay bestie that was right next to me, just like, who is that? And he was like, oh my God, shut up. It's a stagehand. Don't worry about it. Like, it's stuff. And I was like, no, who is that? And he was like, oh my God, seriously? It's a prenup. Don't. And
It's a prenup?
Prenup,
he
don't.
was sassy. He was sassy. And
I love it. I told you I have that sense of humor that's quirky. That's freaking hilarious to me. Go ahead.
you know what upset me though was his makeup was better than mine, and I was pretty upset because I thought I was supposed to be the famous one in the stream, and it was supposed to be like my life,
Uh-huh.
But I actually had like kind of went to go speak to him. Like I was like, okay, I'm gonna play it cool. I'm just gonna just ask a question about like the structural questions. And before I could go up and ask him anything, I saw he had a wedding ring already.
Oh
And he was
no.
on the phone talking to somebody else. And that was one where I woke myself up, just bawling my eyes out. And I just grabbed him. I just started hugging him. And he was like, did it not go okay? And I was like, it went the worst way it could fucking go. And he was like, well, maybe it's just a bad dream. Maybe it's not real. Maybe it was just a dream. And it was like, it was so real. Like my gay bestie was like my fairy godmother who was like telling me like, this is what happens with like being like famous and, a public figure. Like you don't get to have anybody close to you. I mean, I'm just glad I have you and you have me. you know, and thank God I chose your outfit tonight, like stuff like that, trying to cheer me up. And I just remember I looked at him and it was like I'd stepped out of that body and was watching that conversation happen. And I said, will I ever have a mother that loves me? And he just gave me a big hug and he goes, maybe you're one of those people who can do fine without it. And I said, I don't think I am. And just gave me a big hug and kiss. And he told me that he'd be my fairy godmother and that everything was going to be okay. And it really, like, I just woke up sobbing and just grabbed my husband. Like, I'm pretty sure he had nail prints in him. Like, I was just like, I don't want to die. I don't want to die for real. Like, I've already had 3 strikes. Next time I'm out for real. Like, no. It was, I don't recommend. Nope, not a fan.
That's pretty wild.
I really just hope it was a nightmare, honestly.
So you think that's your future? Life.
That's what I was doing when that happened. And it wasn't an intentional, like, go to the future type thing. It was just alternate lives.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that they happen. I don't think time happens in order like we perceive it. I think maybe my first life might have been my husband's last life. It's in a random order of things because it's the age of our souls when we're ready for each other, you know?
Time is not linear.
Yes, exactly that.
And PW says there is a thing that she read that says when you have past lives that you will meet your loved ones in a different way and events. For example, your birth mother in your past life could be your sister. And then she went on to say about the other.
Because this is what she added.
Yeah.
This is similar to you.
Mama.
That would be the last thing that would happen in any genuine life of mine. That kind of confirms the validity and scares me a little bit. Like, that wasn't a nightmare then because my mom and I, no. There's a reason I'm called the orphan. It's by choice. And she knows what she did.
I'm
and if
sorry.
she's listening, she knows what she did. It's okay. It wasn't just the whole pageant paycheck thing. It was something emotional to one of my children that she said. And she told my kid that she was going to hell. And I decided right then and there.
Oh, no.
I'm an orphan.
No.
I just saw Vickie just like, she's ready to crack her neck. Like,
Yeah. My
On
daughter's
that-
a lesbian, and she told my daughter that she wasn't even going to pray for her soul anymore. She'd given up. She was going to hell.
Oh, wow.
And I said, well, guess what? I run the joint. I'll save her a seat in the best row. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of my running joke. I say, like, you know, oh, I've been dead, but, you know, I run the joint. I just forgot where I left the key, or I couldn't remember the Wi-Fi password and I got bored. So I came back, you know.
And
I'm sweet, I'm loving, I'm kind, but you want to see my temper real quick? It don't matter if they're mine by birth or my adopted or ones I've raised. Woo, sweet Jesus. Girl, that makes me mad for you.
Well, I knew I loved you. But that's a good mama. That's a good parent, period. Like, that's not a gender thing. That's a mom or a dad. That's a good one.
well, I know we just met, Nikki, but like, I can speak for me, and I think Greg too. We feel real close to you already too.
Yep.
Oh, I love it. I love this channel so much. I love how it's so, it almost like I get the same exact vibes on my channel, and maybe it's just because, you know, Dustin and Stacey are mods there. They're my bodyguards. They're my bouncers. They're like, you know, no. This person's negativity. This person's, you know, I don't like that comment. And this one's just so supportive and loving. Like, make sure you boost that, you know, like, they're just amazing. So maybe that's why it's got the same, it feels like home here. And I love it. And I can't wait to meet you guys in person. Give y'all a hug. Big old kiss on the cheek. Like, I can't wait. Y'all little protective pendants and stuff too.
well, we're looking forward to meeting you on the 19th there at Octagon. It's going to be some fun times.
It's gonna be great. That's why I'm doing my lips this week. So that way next week they're settled. They're under control.
So I'm going to tell y'all a little weird situation that happened.
Oh my God, please do.
I haven't done a future life,
Hmm.
but I did tell of a future passing one time.
Oh, what was
I
what was
didn't realize Chanel's in chat, and it's funny is because Chanel was talking with me on the phone that night, and I had went and done a residential, my last residential, mind you. Buddy, man, heal.
Vicky, do you have Dobermans too?
Huh?
Do you have Dobermans too?
No, he's just a moose. He's a mix. I swear he's getting Great Dane mix. Leave your sister alone, or I'm gonna put you in the corner.
So yeah, you still got a hellhound though. I mean, I got 3 of them, and whenever there's only one bone left, that's what they
Uh-huh.
sound like. And can I say something a little vulgar here?
What?
I always joke that Dobermans chewing on their bones sound like Gary Busey giving a very enthusiastic flavor to somebody. Those big old teeth.
This is my moose.
Yeah,
Y'all,
buddy.
Oh,
here's
baby,
my moose.
Hi, buddy.
baby, what a pretty boy.
He literally. I can't get up with you on top of me. Here, back up.
Buddy is a perfect name for him too, because he's your buddy.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's his chair that y'all just saw, and it's an oversized chair, and he goes from one side to the other. Like I know he's 110 pounds. He's a moose. Like
I just want to smush his ears. I love him.
he's got sea green eyes. Come here,
Have
heartbreak.
you seen Grandpa?
Do what?
Have you seen my Doberman Grandpa?
No, I'm gonna have to though.
Well,
But
actually, you know what? Speaking of Grandpa, it's kind of on topic. I fully and 100% believe that he's got the same exact person. He was born with the same personality as my husband's 11-year-old boxer passed away with. So we always say he was born an old man, so his name's Grandpa, but his legal AKC whatever name is Old Man Marley's Remix because he literally was born with the same weird, like he'll save his bone and wait until JJ gets home from work, and then he brings his bone to Dad. Like, here, Dad, I saved it. Do you want to bite first? And then he, like weird stuff like that, like Marley used to do. He was born doing that stuff. And so that's why we named him Old Man Marley's Remix. And, you know, we knew he was born an old man, we always tell him. But he's got those same sea green eyes, and he's a fawn Doberman.
Oh.
So,
Yeah.
that's probably why your buddy touched my heart there. And I was like, I got to smush those ears.
He's my baby. He came from the pound. We rescued him.
Oh my God, that's gorgeous.
He was sitting over, and his little eyes just looked up at me like, please don't leave me here with all these mouthy dogs, please. And I was like, and he hardly ever barks. He just don't. Like, he'll bark if he sees something or somebody outside. He'll bark to let me know, and then he stops. And like he's a lover. He's a lover. Like, he loves everybody. But all right, so back to what I was talking about before Buddy went crazy.
Oh yeah. Future life ending prediction, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm sensitive, and until I got on the channel, I was very private with what I do.
Right.
Any readings I do is always private. Anything I do is always private. And so, with that being said, Chanel from the Vixens, I hope Chanel's still in here because she can verify what I can tell you. All right, so.
Lord, there's a murder over there. Somebody called Lifetime. They got a new movie.
Yes, the last time I did a residential, it was a residential that I had been doing for, I would say, 2 years, off and on. Okay. And so I know the family really well, right?
Hmm.
And so one of they knew I was sensitive, and one of the males there was asking me, he were like, I don't like being put on the spot, and I don't like asking, like don't like being asked. If I feel something, I'll let you know. If I hear something, I'll let you know. If it's meant for me to give it to you, I will let you know.
Right.
Okay.
You can't force that.
Well,
It's got to be a volunteer thing.
right. Well, it's got to be what God wants me to do.
Right.
So I was standing there and he was like, I feel something, because he was a sensitive. Okay. He's like, I feel something. He's like, do you mind if I asked you, do you feel something? So I stepped back and I was like, just give me a few minutes. And so I'm watching him and I'm looking and I'm
Putting yourself
sensing.
in the mindset, right?
Huh?
Putting yourself in that mindset, right? Like speaking to your heart from your mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is this something I'm supposed to give you? And so needless to say, I see a woman, I see a man. I see this woman standing beside him. She's trying to get his attention. This man, I can't really see him, but he keeps talking into this male that I'm talking to. He keeps talking in his ear. But I see this woman standing beside him, and she's kind of like putting her hand on his arm and stuff. And so I pay more attention to the woman, and I told him, I said, I see a woman that's standing beside you. She's your aunt, and she's from your mother's side, and looks like the hair, her small frame, down to her height.
Wow.
And I said, but I don't know. She's just standing over to the side of you and she keeps patting your arm. I said, but she's not saying anything. I said, but there's a man that's whispering in your ear. And he's like, oh my God, my ear's ringing. He's like, it's been ringing. And
Oh.
I said, okay, well, apparently somebody's trying to give you a message. All right. So when I went home that night, I was on the phone with Chanel on my way there. I was on the phone with Chanel because Chanel's a psychiatrist and there were children involved. So she works with children. So I was using her as a reference when
Like
it
fact
deals
checking.
with anything with children.
Yeah, it's responsible.
Right. And so with that being said, I called her as soon as I left. I end up, like, I'm in northern Kentucky coming home. My GPS rerouted me, and I come out in front of Weldon Manor,
Oh
which
Lord.
was completely not the way I went up. Weldon Manor, I had been there before, and Weldon Manor is extremely haunted. All right. But the male, it was funny, is because the male that I had told him about, he calls me and he's like, hey, Vic, he's like, I think I know who you're talking about. He's my cousin or my uncle that had just passed away like a week ago, and he was a welder, and I came out in front of Weldon Manor. Okay. As he's calling me, telling me this, I'm looking at Weldon Manor, and I'm like,
Do you
okay,
think maybe you heard something
oh,
that you didn't perceive
no,
consciously?
I'm not done.
Oh,
I'm not
sorry.
done.
Sorry. I'm just super into it.
So, mind you, he's not the one that has me concerned, or, I mean, it's all like falling into place, right?
Mhm.
The guy that I'm telling about this woman to, he tells me that he hasn't talked to his mom's side of the family in probably 10 plus years. And so he's like, I'm not sure. He's like, because when I see her as a slightly younger version. And so probably about 15 years younger to her passing. Okay. So, with that being said, him and his wife calls me 2 days later, and his aunt passed away.
Oh wow.
What?
He sends me a photo. I instantly
No.
called Chanel. I'm in panic mode. This is freaking me out. See, there she is. All right, I'm in panic mode. He sends me a photo. It is a picture that he has found of her the way I had seen her to the freaking T.
Shut
Through
the
the
front
color
door.
of her hair, the way her hair was, her frame, her height, everything. And it upsetted me so bad that I prayed and I said, God, I never want to do this again. I never want to know if someone's passing before it happens. Although I think it was his uncle that had passed. I think his uncle who was from his father's side,
Okay.
was trying to warn him that he needed to get in touch with his mother's side, the family.
Okay.
And that's what it was about. But it literally messed with me for a good 2 or 3 weeks. And
How can it not?
I've never done it since, but I did hit my knees and I prayed and I said, God, I never want to know this. I never want to know somebody's going to pass before they pass. Please don't ever allow me to see this again.
I haven't ever had that.
Oh,
I knew when my mom called me in the middle of the night. Like, obviously we don't talk, but I knew, like, instinctively, as soon as I saw her number on my phone, I knew my grandma had passed away. And I mean, I can't talk about that. I'll cry and I'll just never shut up just talking about how wonderful my grandma was. But that's the closest I've ever got. I can't imagine what that felt like for you. Oh my goodness. Wow.
It was traumatic. Chanel, she's on here, and even Nikki. I called Nikki and told Nikki, but like Chanel, she was with me through the drive. Of course, she was on the phone, but she was with me when I was there. As soon as I left, I called her, told her about everything because they're my best friends. So, besides my crew here, they're my other best friends.
Right.
So with best friends, I always talk and always, say what I wouldn't normally to other people.
Right. They're your adopted sisters.
Right. But they, it freaked me out. I'm not going to lie. It flipped my script.
Yeah, I don't know how to handle that either. I kudos to you for actually handling it in a classy way and with respect. But oh my goodness, are you all three okay with that whole situation? Because, whew, that's a lot.
Yep. Well, I like they helped me because it really did mess with my mind for a few days, and I even thought about it for a couple of weeks, and it's like I never want to know if a loved one is passing. And I did that with my brother when he had his wreck. Then I had the dream about my other brother. Well, I had the dream. Me and my other brother had a dream. So when I found my other brother dead, and so I've always known or something, to an extent. It's always been something out there that has pretty much gave me PTSD. And I mean, literally, doctor verified PTSD.
Did not.
But I never want to know beforehand that a loved one is going to die. I don't want to know that. That is something that terrifies me. I don't want to know that.
I mean, I don't want to know if anybody's gonna. I don't want to have that responsibility, especially if you don't know who it is. If you just saw it, that's a whole nother head trip. Like, how do you find that person?
What about you, Greg and Justin?
Yeah.
What's your input on that? Like,
Thank
to
you.
me, I don't think it bother me that much because, it's still for me, I'm the type that would bring a peace of mind, and you be mentally prepared for it, but that's just me.
Yeah. I used to have dreams, and it always comes to me in dreams. It's never usually when I'm awake. But when it's come to me in dreams, I've had dreams before that have been, I don't like to use the word prophetic, but like it's been something, and sometimes a lot of times it's been things that are not very significant or things that are very important, but things that have popped up, and then you have like that whole deja vu kind of moment. I've had that before, but I've had other times, and I haven't had the future part of it anyway, since I was probably in my mid-teens, late teens. But I had some that were disturbing things that were in the near future that were coming up, that I knew was, and then I didn't know how to interpret it. I was young, you're not getting the whole picture, you're getting pieces of information. So it's kind of like, how do I string that together? And of course, hindsight is 2020. So you're like, well, how did I not know this? Or put the pieces together.
Well, I'm gonna throw your own words back at you. It's your soul protecting you, bud. You weren't ready yet.
Yeah. But the one thing, like I said, not a future thing, but one thing that actually happened to me this year that was actually pretty powerful.
I just thought about it a minute ago, and I said, "Oh wow,"
I
I don't tell me.
So one thing that happened to me earlier this year, and I'll try not to get emotional. I'm just gonna preface that.
I'm gonna send you a mama hug.
Is January, my grandfather passed away.
I'm so sorry.
And thank you. And he was my last living grandparent. And to be honest, me and him personally did not always have a very close relationship, really, at all, I would say. He was very intent. He was very conceited. He was very, what's the word I'm looking for? He was very into himself, very selfish. And he didn't care about, he only had 2 grandchildren on this God's green earth, and it was me and my younger sister. Didn't really give us a lot of the time of day, whatever. Oh, thank you, PW.
I'm sorry for the loss of your grandpa, but I'm also sorry for that loss of that relationship you guys didn't have.
Well, and that was a lot too, because my other 3 grandparents, and all had passed prior to him, all had made very big efforts to try to get to know. Yes, thank you, Vixen. Yes, narcissistic. Thank you. But had all made very big attempts to try to get to know me and really get to have a relationship with me. And thank you. And he was the only one that didn't make, while he was alive, he didn't make an effort to really get a chance to have a relationship or know me.
Well, I'm sorry for his loss too.
Well, yeah, it was his loss.
It was.
But he passed away January 5th. Without going into a lot of detail, there's always been a lot of drama with my dad's side of the family, he was my dad's dad. And there was actually a lot of kind of, I don't want to say bad blood, but just a lot of tension. And there's just been a lot of times that we haven't spoke with that side of the family a lot in the last several years.
Mm-hmm.
And the harder part was that they lived right across the street. I grew up right across the street from my grandfather. I grew up right next door, saw him pretty much every day. If I didn't talk to him or have a direct interaction with him, I would always, when I'm driving home, I would always see him out on the porch. And it's like he was always there, but never made the effort. But anyway, so When he passed away, I was actually with Greg. We were out of state. We were both in Eastern Kentucky, almost West Virginia, about 6.5 hours away. And when I got the call from my mother and said that he had passed, he had apparently collapsed in his house by himself, and he was going to, he had just ate lunch. He was going to go put his dishes away in the sink, and he collapsed and died in the floor.
Wow.
And I had a lot of feelings about it at the time. Just a lot of unresolved feelings, a lot of raw feelings, and not necessarily just for me, but for my dad too, because my dad didn't have a lot of things that he didn't resolve with his relationship with his father. And that just hurt my heart too.
Mm-hmm.
So my mom told me, it's best if you just don't worry about coming home. There's already tensions are high. And she's like, it'll just do your heart and your stress level a lot better just to stay there, Long story short, me and my family were not invited to the funeral. We were actually told not to come. And they had people watching the door to make sure we didn't come.
Wow.
Yeah. Again, long story there, but I'll spare you those details. But a week or two, I don't remember exactly how long it was after he passed away, I had a dream and I woke up, and Greg can tell you, I woke up and it was like 4 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. I woke up, tears just streaming down my face. And I mean, almost inconsolable at this point. And I had a dream, and my grandfather had reached out to me. He came to me, and it was almost just like I was sitting in the room with him. And for some reason, I didn't come to him. He came to me. But, oh, thank you, Vixen. What it was is I was pulled into where I always saw him, where I always had interactions with him. I was pulled into my grandparents' house. I pulled up, and when the dream started, snap, it was like I was standing on their front porch. And I'm like, okay. I walk through the door. I know in the dream that he has passed. Like, I am cognizant of that. He's sitting at the dining room chair, which is right in the door when you first walk in. He was an old man, and he had this funny little quirk. Oh, thank you. He had this funny little quirk for a man who was, uptight and, didn't want to, he didn't like sissy things. This man crossed his legs like Sharon Stone. Let me tell you this. he was sitting at the dinner table, crossing his legs, and just like he always did. And he was sitting there, and I walked through the door, and I said, "Hey, Granddaddy," I said, "Did you need me for something?" I said, "Did you call for me?" And he didn't say a word. He got up from the table, and he had just finished lunch. And this was actually the last thing, ironically, the last thing he had done before they had found his body and he had collapsed and died in the kitchen floor. He got up, went to the sink in the kitchen, put his plate in the sink, which was the last thing he did. Then he, without talking to me still, mind you, went out of the kitchen, down the hallway, to his bedroom, and shut the door. I was a little confused. I'm like, well, you called me here, so why are you not answering me right now? And he was never a man who was good with words or good with explanation or conversation. Strong silent type, I guess. But I walked down the hallway. I opened the bedroom door. He was laying on top of the covers on his side, laying down and was sleeping. I walk up along the side of the bed and I tap him on the shoulder, said, "Granddaddy." And when I did this, he jumped out of bed.
Oh.
Startled me a little bit.
Well, yeah, that startled me hearing it.
Yeah. He jumped out of bed and he looked at me and he had his hands on my shoulders and was looking me dead in the eye. I have never in my 34 years of knowing this man had never seen him once cry. This man was looking at me with crocodile tears in his eyes, and his lips were quivering. And he said, "I came to you because your father did not want to talk to me."
Wow.
And he said, "I wanted to come to you." And he said, "I want to tell you and your dad that I'm sorry." He said, "I love you so much." And he said, "I can't take back what I did." But he said, "I want to tell you that I love you. And I'm so, so sorry." And he just kept repeating that over and over. And he was just sobbing. And I think he realized after he had left this world what he missed out on. And he told me to pass that message on to my father, because my father, in so many words, that was something that my father needed to hear just as much as I did.
Well, I am going to
And
say this real quick. I agree with Stacey in chat. Shame on them. You're a wonderful person. I mean, it is. I haven't met you in person, but this is my first time with you even, and it is just. I mean, Helen Keller could tell what a heart you've got. Let's put it that way. So I'm not
Exactly.
insulting her intelligence at all. I'm just saying, like, even if you got no other cues in this world, it radiates from you, and shame on them. That's their loss, and they shouldn't have put you in that position when you were already breathing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you had to do that, buddy.
I know you're good. You're good. And I appreciate all the comments from everybody in the chat and
Nothing but
everything.
love for you, man.
Here's the part that really kind of gave me the chills and still gives me the chills. So when he was telling me that, he had like repeated, "I'm so sorry. I love you. I'm so sorry." And he buried his head in my shoulder. And this man was sobbing. Like, I mean, like, like ugly cry kind of sobbing. When he pulled his head away from my shoulder, and I'm going to say this, he was a very private man. So I had never seen a picture of my grandfather prior to me being born. Ever. I have never seen wedding photos of him and my grandmother. I've never seen a picture of him when he was younger. When he pulled away from me, he appeared as if he was maybe my age or even a little younger. And that, I think, was for my dad. Because, long story short, he was abusive to my father. And I could explain every detail of his face, his hair color. And believe it or not, this old farmer who, like I said, tough guy, had perfectly manicured man hands with perfectly intact cuticles and everything, and he believed in nail care. So for macho men out there, apparently they do that. They can do that too. But funny little details like that, I could see everything. And then as I could see him like that, he said, the last thing he said to me, he had taken his hands off of my shoulders and he was holding onto one of my hands, and he said, "Tell your dad I love him and make sure just let him know what I told you." And he turned away and there was a light behind him. And he turned away, and as he turned away, he looked back at me one last time and smiled, and then walked into the light, and he was gone.
Oh man.
And that was the most out of body kind of experience dream I think I probably have ever had. And when I woke up, I immediately, not at that time because it was 3 a.m., but as soon as I woke up, I remember for getting ready for work, and it was like 7 o'clock in the morning. I called my dad because my dad always gets up early. I called my dad, and they were getting ready to go to court to settle my grandfather's estate, ironically, that morning, unbeknownst to me. And I told him exactly what I had seen in the dream, and my dad just absolutely lost it. Because my dad, as I described what my grandfather looked like when he was younger, my dad said, "That's Dad." He said, "That's my dad." Every little detail, he said, "There's no way I would have known that." And my dad just had this overwhelming sense of peace, and my dad just sobbed like a little boy. And that was the end of it. But that was just one of the most profound, like crazy, like sensations, kind of like what y'all were talking about, of things just coming to you and not necessarily knowing the why, or it kind of seems like it came out of nowhere. That was something that just blew my mind, but it was something I know that my father and I needed for closure.
Dude, two things. First and foremost, you are great for my heart and my soul. But you've been terrible for my hair tonight because I just keep running my hands through my and I just keep gripping handfuls of it, just messing it up, just like, oh my God, like trying to calm myself.
Yeah.
But the other thing I was going to say is I started out thinking, wow, what a huge hardship for this poor guy to have to endure after receiving that kind of treatment in this man's living life. But then when you said about your dad, then I realized it was actually a blessing for you because your dad didn't deserve to be treated that way growing up.
No.
There's nothing you can do to deserve that type of treatment, but you got to be the one to just give him that salve for a soul. Like, I mean, that, that healing closure that he needed. And I feel like your grandpa might have come to you to get his closure, but you said that was kind of his nature. He was kind of selfish like that. But I feel like it ended up with you being who you are and your dad not being responsible for how he was treated. It ended up being a blessing because the two of you were just like I said, a salve for each other's soul. Like, it was a blessing in that way. And, I'm glad you got it, but I'm also very, very sorry that you guys had to endure that in his living life before that reached that point.
And here was the other thing that kind of pulls it all full circle too, is like I said, I was out of state with Greg when he passed. Even though at the funeral itself, my parents and I were not invited, my dad had spoke with the funeral director, and he had made made like a special time that they could come, and it was my dad and my mother and my sister all got to come for like a private viewing, and so they got to say goodbye. So I was the only one that actually did not get to physically lay eyes on him and say goodbye. So that was the part that was crazy to me, that he came to me too.
I don't think that's good. I think that makes more sense. What do you think, Vickie?
I think it makes complete sense because Justin's open, he's sensitive, he's open to that communication. He's just got a sweet, sensitive deposition. So even though his grandfather treated him like he did and knew that he didn't deserve this or deserve his time and attention, deep down, he knew that Justin would be more willing to allow him to come in, to say that goodbye, to reach across, to be that bridge. And he knew that.
Right. Give him that instant forgiveness that it takes a real big person to do that, like a heart of gold. I agree.
And everybody's got to remember, God says, you know, how can you expect me to forgive you if you can't forgive someone else?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a big impact, that mention, because there's a lot of hard things in life that we go through, like Justin went through with his grandfather, like Justin's dad went through with his father, you know, and it's really hard to forgive someone who has done one thing against you, but to do multiple things for many, many years,
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot to be forgiving of that kind of situation. And the fact that Justin was open to that truly does show what kind of heart Justin has.
Yeah.
Undeniably agree.
And I want to say thank you too, because it means a lot knowing that you're comfortable enough here to share that with us, and it's very humbling, and our heart goes out to you, and we love you lots.
Well, thank you. I love y'all too.
This is why Dustin is a mod on my survivors and their support system channel. That right there, understanding and appreciating that trust and that mutual respect that's needed for somebody to open up and tell their story. That's why the man's in charge over there. Like,
Oh, thank you.
no problem, man. Thank you for not just doing what you do on my channel and supporting a survivor and a support systems cause, but also for doing this here, because I mean this is that what's the word, the segue between where religion is strict and confined and conformed, and those rules from like people misinterpreting it and using it as a weapon to beat you over the head with their Bible,
Right.
and what spirituality and being connected with who you are and your creator actually is. And that is amazing. I love that link there.
Well,
That's
we always pride ourselves. Vickie can vouch, Tanya and Zeke. We encourage anyone and everyone of our religions, faith of life. Yeah, we don't judge based on any of that, and we generally care. It is a safe place. It is, just because we're talking about a topic, we're not going to shun you or think less of you just because you don't agree. We're the type to go, okay, well, share with us what your opinion is. We'd like to know. Just because we don't agree don't mean that we can't listen and respect and want to learn.
Well, I feel like you guys are kind of like my channel plus. So it's kind of like you obviously still give that to the living, but you also kind of offer it to the no longer with us.
Yeah.
It's really departed as well. Because, like,
because they're still here.
Yeah.
Their energies changed, but they're still here. And I may be a Christian, but my God's a loving God.
Yeah.
And my God loves everybody. And I just don't see, like, I don't have the same beliefs as every other Christian, because I also believe, like you had talked about earlier, Nikki, about, well, my way of it is there's different levels of heaven.
Right.
And lower levels, that's when God gives you the opportunity to go and have, come from a past life to have another life. Because we don't complete what we need to complete, or we don't complete what we want to, and he gives us those choices, and that's why we keep repeating on past lives, until you get to a higher level of contentment and faith and higher light in your soul. And that's kind of the way I believe. And so that's not a typical Christian. A typical believes if you
But
go
it
by
should
the
be. It
Bible,
should
when you
be.
die, you're in the ground until Judgment Day. No, you're not.
Yeah.
I'm not. People misread that, and they do.
Yeah.
But
and
I'm not going to tell somebody they're wrong because they
yeah.
believe that way.
And that's the funny thing. When we all first met, especially Vickie and Nikki and Zeke, is
I do. He does.
I'm a man of faith, but I'm not a Christian. I'm not a Baptist. I'm not. I'm more in one. I believe in a creator, and I believe in Mother Earth because God created Mother Earth. So more of a native type, is my belief. But yet we all get along, and we just click. It's like we just fit.
Well, I don't think there's any good reason for people to think that you can either have logic and science, things that have been proven, or you can have religion and spirituality.
Yeah.
I feel like this is what we're doing over on, your channel is we're gapping or we're closing that gap up to where this is how they meet. This is where they're married. This is how they work hand in hand. And this is how they were created to work together in this universe we live in. And that's a beautiful thing. I love that.
Well,
Stacey,
thank
you're
you.
great people.
And Vicky, you're talking about a lot about Dolores Cannon. She says a lot of the same things, and she actually calls it karma. It's like you're working your karma off, and like your soul has to repeat some things in a different life to see if you can get past that karma. And if you don't get past that certain karma, you have to live it all over again till you get past that karma.
Yeah.
It's like a toddler with broccoli. I mean, think about it. You want them up from that table until they try a bite? No, they got to keep going through it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We get it from somewhere, mamas.
Eat the
Well,
broccoli.
I want to say real quick that thank y'all for sharing. I love y'all. I loved listening to each of y'all's stories, and I'm not saying stories a bad or not. I, I'm not
No, you're
saying
not being dismissive. Yeah, no. Yeah.
saying thank y'all so much for coming on here and sharing your stories because I've loved listening to them, all of them. I loved listening to the people in chat and the fact that everybody came on and spoke and felt comfortable in order to speak these stories because these heartfelt stories that everybody shared. And it's not always easy for all of us to share these things. But, so thank y'all. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. And I love you. And thank you for sharing those and feeling comfortable to share them. Thank you.
Thank y'all for giving us this place and welcoming us here and having us as guests. And I mean, wow, just freaking wow.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, we can. I know Oprah's already got it copyrighted, probably, but this is our soul sessions right here.
Oprah,
we can go take a long walk off a short pier, as far as I'm concerned.
That's why I said earlier. It's like I would have never imagined that all of us together would have just created such a therapeutic. It's like therapeutic. I mean, it's. I mean, who would think you go to a YouTube panel or watch a YouTube live and just have that feeling of care,
Yeah, you walk away, your soul just feels like a fresh battery charge. Like it's just
Oh yeah.
like a little bit of a weight lifted up and knowing that you can lean your head on someone's shoulder and they genuinely care. It's not just a like, yeah, okay, yeah, well, no, they actually care.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes for everyone in the chat too, because I'm on Yo Baby's side monitoring that for her, and I'm on both of our sides trying to keep up with it and watching everyone in chat be so compassionate with both you and Greg and orphan, our other Nikki, it just
Mhm.
it blows my mind. It just
Oh,
it's
yeah.
wow.
Well,
Well,
speaking
and-
of care, Justin, real quick, I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want it to be taken as like promotion or anything like that. It's not what
Yeah.
it is. I have an episode on like alternative almost or atypical, we'll call it, grief and the stigma that sometimes comes with that because it's not a situation that you are handling it the way that you're quote unquote supposed to or
Yeah.
as expected. And the the ridiculousness of the shame of that. And I know Dustin, you were in there for that one. And I really feel like we definitely had a different situation with losing a grandparent, but it really, I mean, I walked away from my own live. Like, I had to cut it down because I just walked away from it like crying. Like, it
Oh,
just,
yeah.
it was a good cry,
And,
though. It was like one of those weird ones where you're just like, I'm so lucky I found these people to share this with.
and one of our other biggest goals is to let people know you're not alone. You know, some people, there's people out there, not everybody, but some people do honestly care, and you're never alone. Even if you're sitting in a room by yourself, someone is still thinking about you, and you know, positive vibes, praying, whatever it is. You know, you're there in their thought and in their heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love. Not might not always be liked, but you are loved. Let's just keep it real. There might be people I might not always like, but I'll always love you. I'll always do what I can to help you. And I'll always be here with a big mama hug.
Yeah.
That's family.
Mhm.
Love you, Vickie.
Yeah, Vicky
Look,
kinda-
y'all know I adopted y'all a long time ago.
yeah,
And that's what I do. I adopt people. Some are older than me, some are younger than me, but I adopt them all, and I'm Mama Vic, and that's just who I am.
mhm. Well, I think that kind of goes back to like the souls being together in other lives too, because you just kind of like connect with people, and it's instant. It's not like it takes you forever to like be really close to that person. It's like you instantly meet them, and you're like, oh, I've known you for like ever, and you really haven't. And yeah, like with JB, like I found out in one of my past lives, me and JB was brother and sister. And
Oh,
we
that's
call each other brother and sister all the time. I call her big sis, she calls me little brother.
Long before they ever
Long
found
before
out.
we found that out. And it's like with her and with Vicky and Nikki Ward, it's like some people can hug you and it feels like it just recharges your soul. Like it's one of those type of
feels
things.
like pumpkin pie.
Yeah.
That's like the
It's
kind of
just
aura.
one of those things. It's like you just want to like fall into their arms and just stay there for a long time. It's just, I mean, it's
Yeah.
just hard to describe, but like if one of y'all hug me, it's just like, dude, it's like it just sparks, and I don't know, it's just hard to explain.
It's like any little. Everybody has their day to day struggles. Everybody has their day to day stress. And sometimes that stuff, little or big, can just accumulate over time. When you have people that you have that kind of a connection with, just that arm out, that hug, that acknowledgement that you're seen and that you're cared about and you're loved
Mhm.
chips away in either little pieces or sometimes even big pieces of that weight and stuff that's on you and of that you're experiencing day to day and that you carry with you. It just melts right off, and that's exactly what Greg's was saying. And it's
Mhm.
just something you can't it's words fail to accurately describe what that feeling is.
I had an autism therapist once who explained it to me like you have two different outfits that your soul wears, and one is a cold, all business, just the facts, and let's go to work, knight in shining armor with chainmail. And the other one is a happy little soft round piggy rolling in their mud pile, just gobbling up their slumps out of the bucket, just smiling at everybody who walks by. And you choose the people in your life. If you don't feel comfortable with showing them that little belly up, chubby piggy smiling, covered in mud, that's not a safe person. If you feel like you can take your armor off, that's not a safe person. And you shouldn't ever choose to keep someone in your circle because of who they're supposed to be to you. You choose them for who they actually are to you. And it's so obvious you guys have such an amazing dynamic here. It's just, I'm blown away. It's amazing.
Thank you, Nikki.
Thank you.
I feel like a little piggy.
Well, I will just say,
I rub your belly. I love it,
How sad is that?
girl.
that's what I was like. That's why I said what I was saying a little while ago, Nikki, that like something about your energy and stuff. And you said, we've never met. Something about your energy, as soon as you were talking and I got to hear your voice and kind of hear what you're talking about, and I was relating with you on a lot of different things that I haven't even touched on yet. But but
I do that with everybody on this channel, like in chat or on panel. Like, it's amazing.
but it's like I felt.
Say. Oh no, go ahead, Justin. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I was just gonna say that I felt like an instant camaraderie with you, Nikki, and I just felt like that's what really opened this up here, and that's what I was able to tap into the Natalie Wood stuff.
Oh man.
Because it's like when the pieces line up and it's like everything's kind of in sync or in line and our energies are kind of, there's a synergy kind of going on. It's like this door opens and it's just like I can see you, not just like I can see Vickie or I can see Dustin. I can see you, like your energy, your spirit and stuff, and that I felt that with you pretty early on in this.
Yeah, I mean that was pretty obvious too, because like I was like, this man done stole my diary. Live. Are you kidding me? Like okay, my skin is inside out from goosebumps. When's it gonna go back? I mean,
I know. That's why I had to jump in. I was like, oh no. Wait a minute, Orphan. He's sensitive. Because I already was like, Mama, come in here. Like, like he is not a stalker. I promise. He's not a creeper. He's funny. He's not a
This is a safe place for
nobody
you.
get my house.
Yeah. There's just some people that like when you get around them, like it's like instant synergy. Like me and Vickie and Justin can investigate together, and like stuff blows up. Like it did at the Simpson County Historical Society that one night.
Yep.
And it does the same thing with JB and us, and it does the same thing with Renee and us sometimes. It's just
Was that the one with the
all
mannequin
about
man?
all the energies like connecting.
And it's like Vickie and I can just look at each other and I'm like, I can know what you're thinking. I know.
and finish each other's sentences.
100%.
But our favorite, let's talk about that. Okay, so Nikki and Dustin, I don't know if I've ever told you, Dustin, but Nikki, you've got to listen to this too. So the old team that I used to be on, we overseen the Old Stone Jail in Franklin, Kentucky. Well, it was already after I left, but we were up there for the last meet and greet because we always did a meet and greet. We started it back in 2020, and we always did a meet and greet every year for the paranormal people. All right.
Okay.
So me and Greg and Justin decide we're going to go upstairs. This building, the Historical Society, It used to be so many things. Like it used to be a T Ford car, like shop where they'd fix it. It used to be a Ford. I already said that. It used to be a sewing factory. It used to be the furniture store. I mean, it was like so many different things, right?
That building had a lot of lives.
Oh, that building itself had a lot of lives. That land itself had a lot more lives.
Yeah.
But there's
There was
children in
reception
there.
in there.
Yeah. So there's children in there. So me and Greg and Justin, we go upstairs, and we put Justin in this cubicle hole area, right? And he's doing Estes, and Justin does Estes, like he channels the spirits while he's doing. So keep an eye on him a little bit, because he can go in too deep, you know. But it was funny, is because me and Greg, we were standing over on the outside of these big old countertop things that, like, I'm so short you couldn't see me. You might have could seen the top of Greg's head, but that just amazing. So, because that was what was blocking Justin from even seeing us, even if he wasn't blindfolded. By the way, he was, because it was the Estes method. So he was blindfolded. He had the he couldn't see. So we were talking to a child, and we were talking to its mama, and they were from the lower end of Mexico. We did Google it. We pulled it up on a map, figured out where it was at. But anyway,
Mexico.
Guadalajara, Mexico. That's right. And they boat, and then they arrived on a train. That's how they got there. All right. So the funny part was, we get to playing with this child, and we were like, it said, it said it wanted to play games. So then we were like, okay, do you want to play hide and seek? And so we explained hide and seek, and it was like, sure. So me and Greg takes off running. Justin has no clue. None. Okay, because he can't do nothing, right? And he's channeling these spirits, and he's doing the Estes. Me and Greg takes off running across the top, and we're hiding. And so we're like, okay, you got to come find us. But when you find us, you got to let us know you found us. And then you got to tell us what we are standing by. Right?
Okay.
So sure enough, they come, they find me first. And I'm like, it said, found you. And I was like, okay, but what am I standing by? And it was like, by the horsey, because I was over my carousel. And then I was like, okay, well, you found me. You got to go find Greg now. So he goes running over, and it says, found you.
Wait, on. So it was telling Justin where you were hiding, even though he couldn't see you because he was blindfolded.
So it was channeling through me and telling me, like, through these headphones, answering as the child's answering through me and telling them, I found you, here's where you are, and it's my voice saying what the spirit is saying out loud.
Y'all just ruined my hair completely. Okay, go ahead.
So, yeah, I said, well, you gotta go find Greg. And then, of course, here goes Justin, I found you, and that's the child again. And I was like, okay, but what's Greg standing by? Now, mind you, it's so dark, I can't even see what's over there by him, right? And it says, car. And I said, okay, what color car? Blue. So we go over there. I go, I'm on live, mind you, I'm on live on my Facebook. I'm on live. And I go over, and sure enough, it's one of those blue go-kart things that.
Racing cars,
yeah, it's the little racing cars that you would do as like an 8, 9-year-old, that you would get in and you would race them down the hill. The little box cars, like.
Pedal cars.
Cars.
Yeah.
So, anyways, so that was so badass. I'm not even gonna lie. It was one of the best sessions. But it even got better, because then I asked it. I said, "What's your favorite toy?" And it said doll. And then I said, "Okay, what's your next favorite?" And it said horse. So I'm like, okay. So I go running over to the carousel. Now, mind you, Justin still is blindfolded. He's got the headphones on. He's in the Estes method, so he can't see me. at all. All right. And it's dark, mind you. It's still dark.
There's
I go-
layers in this, yeah.
So I go running over to the carousel and I put my hand above each horse and I said, when I get to your favorite horse, tell me to stop. So I go to one. And I already knew which one that she was going to say. I already knew it. Okay. And so I don't go to that one. That's my second one I go to. All right. And I said, okay, is it this one? Nothing. I go to this one and it says yes. And then I go to the next one. I said, this one?
Oh my
Nothing.
God.
So then I go back to the one it says yes at, which I knew it was going to say yes. And I said, tell me the colors you see on this horse. And it's like pink, blue, and some other color. And it was. That was the color that was on the horse.
That's wild.
It was phenomenal. It was so epic. Oh my God.
And
No,
Justin,
I'm gonna try.
can't hear any of this going on because he's got earphones on
That are
He's
noise
usually
canceling
double
headphones.
He usually has like earpods and earphones in, so to make sure he cannot
What?
hear anything. Period. Except what's coming through
The headphones.
through the headphones that he's got in. And a lot of times when he comes out of it, he'll ask so he's like, what does the horse meant, or what did the car mean, or what did Guadalajara mean? You know?
And what was crazy too, and just for I guess a better visual, is what I was sitting in. I was sitting Indian style on the floor, and if you ever go to like Dillard's or Belk or Macy's and you go to the like the fragrances and the cosmetics counters, like those clear glass counters that have all the perfumes and stuff on display, it was like that. And I was sitting in the middle of it with the counters and stuff on all sides of me. So there was no way I could see through.
Mm-hmm.
And what was crazy too is that there's another layer on this stuff with the same interaction with this little girl and her mother. And I think Vickie was going to get to it, weren't you?
Yes, I was fixing to say. And also, it was cool is because he was speaking Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
And Greg, I'm like, I don't know Spanish. Greg, do you know Spanish? And Greg's like, I know a few. I'm like, so we, as I say, Greg pulls out translator, and we're translating the Spanish, and it's answering us in Spanish.
Oh my God.
And Justin, do you know Spanish?
I do, but again, the context of what was going on, there's still not like.
I was thinking like it was you didn't. I was thinking you didn't know this Spanish, like it was a different
Dialect or something.
Like a dialect, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's like the third time we've said the same word at the same time, bud.
But
So,
it's
and then what else?
basically like how you see with other people that first come to this country that doesn't know a lot of English. The daughter, who was the child, was translating for the mom on a lot of the questions, and then like it was that type of interaction.
Well, here's what I want to do. I'm gonna be there for the next one.
I know.
I will volunteer to do this, even though frankly it scares a little bit of the shit right out of me. But
I'll teach you how to do it.
I will volunteer to try it too. Now I don't know if I got the talent for it, or the skill, or the gift. But what if we did the two of us side by side doing it and compared notes?
Now, here's the thing. I have done this with other teams and been a part of it, but we have actually done Estes method in different areas, different rooms of the house, and someone in between. And the spirits will talk through both people doing Estes method, and they will actually argue and conversate back and forth between each other.
Yeah.
Heck, you can throw me in a hole with headphones and the box and everything, and I'll be in a little confined area doing it.
Cece's going to bed. Everybody say goodnight, Cece.
Good night,
Okay, we're
Cece.
yawning
Night,
right now, but good
CC.
night,
Love you.
Cece.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
She's our
that's it.
super mod.
Yeah.
She's
Hey,
smart.
Debbie, I want to hear about your experiences since they're so different.
Yes, yes, yes. Miss
One-
PW with all the good tales and all the knowledge.
She's
She's
more
so-
than welcome to come up.
So smart. PW, you want to come up?
You don't have to show your picture. You can be like
You
Dober
can be-
Mom is. Vicky.
Yeah. I actually probably need to hop off because I'm being I feel like an enlightened, but still slightly a little too much self love here with my own self interest. My poor husband is passed out on the couch, and I ain't letting him sleep there. So
Aw.
I gotta go tuck him in.
Go take That's right.
Yeah, he gets to be a little spoon tonight. I'll get behind him and give him his chest rubs,
Like Chanel.
arm wrapped around, you know.
Good night, Chanel. I love you, sister.
Good night, Chanel, thank you so much for all of your professional, science. Lord, that's a blessing right there.
She has helped me so much, especially with my son.
Mhm.
She has been my rock, especially because now I homeschool and I went through such, was not even me. My son went through such a hellacious year that I ended up pulling him out and homeschooling him. And she was my rock. Like I call her, I would cry. I would be on the verge of going to jail and she would talk me out of it. And, it's just like, I love Chanel.
That's a sis.
And thank you for coming. Oh no, yeah, she's still. I was gonna say thank you for coming up, Nikki.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me again. I
Really
appreciate it. You
appreciate
guys
it.
are the best host in the whole wide world.
Enjoyed it. We have enjoyed it. We can't wait for the 19th.
Oh my God, me neither. Seriously.
Everybody
Geeking out.
Well, thank you for coming on.
Before everybody gets off, Greg and Justin, tell them about your event coming up this weekend.
All right, we have an event also at Octagon Hall called Portals to the Past, and it's this Saturday. We still have a few tickets left, and we are also in honor of Vickie and Dustin's event. We're going to donate 15% extra off of each ticket sold to our event for the fundraiser for Octagon Hall to help the hall do some much needed repairs after several storms has hit it and tore a lot of stuff up. So and we're gonna have our guests are JB Coates, which she's the author of the Obsidian Guardian novels, which is basically like Gargoyles meets Twilight meets 50 Shades of Grey sometimes.
Oh, kind of like Aurora K. Hamilton, but with gargoyles.
Yeah. Yeah.
You said Hamilton, so I'm already in. If it wasn't like a 7-hour drive to get to y'all, I'd be there this weekend too.
Oh, we appreciate it. We might be able to pop in on August the 19th just to meet some of the people off of the podcast, if that's okay with Vickie and Dustin. I mean, I have to work until 7, but
we could come in
we
later.
could come in later.
We have to make sure it's okay with Bear.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Now, Justin, you already know what I'm gonna say.
Because
What?
as soon as Bear's okay,
You bet.
something I say hi.
What was that? I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. It's an old rock song. You better, you bet.
Love it.
And I sent PW a link for the after party too, Vickie.
Good. So, mind you, there's something that y'all did not tell about, though, boys.
What?
What's that?
Y'all are supposed to be having a ghost helmet thingy.
Yeah, Gavin and Paula Kelly, they are bringing. To me, it looks like a transformer
It
head,
looks like a transformer.
like if anybody knows the transformer, like Optimus Prime head or something. But
Uh-huh.
anyway, it's when you wear it, it's supposed to automatically open
Open
your
your
third
third
eye.
eye.
And apparently, I haven't tried it yet, but Gavin is making me. And Justin hasn't tried it yet, but apparently you can end up seeing past lives. You can see parallel lives to this life, and you can
Wow.
also see the future sometimes. He said Paula actually seen the future in hers. So it's very interesting, and it's going to be a trip as to what me and Justin actually see, because we both are sensitive and we both pull off of each other all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some weird stuff that goes on when we do, because we've had the same dream, ended up being in the same place at the same time with the same people. A lot of the people we didn't know until that it was the other person's family,
Mm-hmm.
until we started like comparing notes. And it was just weird. And we're actually going to be on a show because of that, because we can't tell a whole lot about it, but we're filming at the end of September for a new
Mm-hmm.
show that's coming out
Awesome.
pretty soon, about like interactions with dead family members, or family members that have passed away.
Mhm.
So
Okay, Justin, we gotta talk.
Okay.
Okay, so again, it's not like a plug or anything like that. It's just that's the most real and the most raw I've ever opened up to. I mean, a lot of my own friends in my personal life I've had my whole life, but also on my channel, the grief episode, I talk about how I didn't handle it for a year and a half. It didn't happen for me. My grandma, she was like, and it's crazy. Like in that episode, I do talk about. Obviously, this isn't a plug because I'm spoiling the entire episode right now. But I talk about how the nobody communicated decently other than me. I had to handle everything, and anything I didn't handle myself, it was poorly done. To where it was said to the coroner, or I'm sorry, the mortician, that they wanted my grandma to look just natural, like herself. And they didn't do any makeup on her at all.
Wow.
So when they finally opened the casket, my mother and then my aunt, who's been like my real mother my whole life, just burst into shrieking, howling, hysterical crying. My aunt almost fainted. And let me tell you, my aunt has grit for days. Like she is a Southern woman's goal. Like she's the one who taught me, honey, no, you don't. No, you can mow your own grass and cut your own weeds, honey. No,
Right?
this is how you check your transmission. This is how you change your oil. And you don't need to wait for a man to pull over on the side of the road because you know what he's probably going to try to do to you. Let me tell you, and then it'd be an hour. But like that was my aunt, and she almost fainted. Like my cousin had to catch her because she was just weak, and I don't know what it was. I just reached in my bag. I grabbed my makeup kit because, pageant kid, my whole life, pageant teen, whatever. And I always have makeup. And I just reached in my bag and I said, stop crying. I got this. Like, I didn't even allow myself to feel. I was like, stop crying. I got this. And I said,
That's that wall.
meet Elvis today. I got this. And I went up there and they were like giving me all these, like as soon as I started like putting her makeup on, whoever it was, I don't know who who he was, but he wasn't the person in charge of makeup. Ran up and he's like, "You can't do that. Stop." And I go, "Yes, I can. That's my grandma. You can't tell me what to do. This is my grams." And I just kept going. And he goes, "No, you have to be very careful. Her eyelids and her mouth." And it was very hard not to barf. And I kind of took a step back and I go, "I'm not going to hurt my grams. But she's going to see Elvis today. She ain't going like this." And I just very gently did her makeup. And the whole time I'm talking to her, I'm like, "Grams, can you believe they did not put any lipstick on you? They did not do your brows. No, you ain't going to heaven looking like this. Come on, this is your big day. This is your big day." And, I'm just talking to her while I'm doing her makeup. And I'm like, "Look, now I know you got black hair and I got blonde hair, but you're going to have to bear with me here. This is the only brow pencil I've got in my bag, and I'm not using an eyeliner on your eyebrows. I know better than that." Just talking to her like she just was sitting in front of me and had her eyes closed like she used to do when I was a little kid. Let me do her makeup. And it sounds like a really morbid, gruesome.
No, it don't.
No, not at all.
Not at all. It was my last chance.
No.
Yeah, it was my last chance to be a little girl with my Grammy again.
Exactly. You took the words right out of my mouth.
And it was just, it was absolutely amazing. And I don't even know how I got on this topic now that I'm talking about it, but
it's just your heart flowing.
it really is. But dang,
Well,
how did I get
can't
here?
believe they let her come out natural like that. I don't know who made that decision, but they should have been beat.
Now, see, my grandma had a last standing wish, and I did know that this was my grandma's wish. I was one of the only people she ever talked about her funeral with, her favorite flowers, what music she wanted played, that type of thing. They used to drive her to her doctor's appointments, and we got pulled over during a funeral procession. And I said, "Oh, stretch hers, classy." That's not the way I'm going out, but I respect it. Nice. And she goes, "Do I even want to know how you're going out, kiddo?" And she called me. There's an old song from back in the day called Alley Oop, where they go da 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 alley oop, and she would dip me like she was ballroom dancing with me and go alley oop. So she called me Alley Cat, but do I even want to know, Alley Cat? And I said, picture this: I'm going to be cremated. I want my ashes mixed with glitter. I want them stuffed into a t-shirt cannon and fired into an unsuspecting crowd while they play Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead. They inhale me, I live forever. I was laughing so hard. She was crying. She had to pull one of the hankies out of her sleeve of her coat. Like, she was like, "You can't do that." And I said, "What are they going to do? Ooh, put me in timeout? I'm dead. I don't care." And I don't know what sparked it, but I asked her, I said, "No, for real, what do you want at yours? I hope I don't see it, but what do you want?" And she was telling me she always has such a thing for Conway Twitty. She wanted Conway Twitty a rose. She wanted Johnny Cash, Someday We'll Meet Again. Ellis Peace in the Valley. And she wanted her favorite flowers, pink carnations and wild tiger lilies, because her dad, my great grandpa, was a salesman, and he put a pink carnation in the lapel of his suit to make his blue eyes pop. And he was a firm believer you don't ever come home without a gift for your girls, and he had 4 of them, so he'd pick wildflowers on the way home from his jobs. And yeah, so I made sure she had everything she wanted, and I got to do her makeup one last time, and that was I still don't know how the hell we got here.
Well, it's not what the intent was; it's the journey, and that was awesome.
Sure.
And when you were saying "Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead," I'm thinking of the Lollipop Kids all being there too, as it's being singing it.
I've been singing The Wizard of Oz. I knew every word when I was 2.5, my mother said. And she said that that's why she would always pick a Wizard of Oz song for me to do on stage, because I already knew all the words. And Well, loved it. And so, yeah, it's only fitting. My kids even know, like, that has to be played at my funeral or I will haunt you. I'm not intimate with anybody. I will barge in and be like, put your pants on. Why didn't you play my song at the funeral?
Right.
Mhm.
I'm like Vickie. I think that's a sin that they didn't put the makeup on her. But I
That's
think,
look.
oh yeah,
Mhm.
but I really think though the way that you were talking about that and the way that played out, even though that was an oversight and something they definitely should have taken care of, destiny though,
There's something meant
I
that she
think
had
that
to
was
do.
something that was done because that was your job to do.
Your
Mhm.
mom.
That was your love letter to her. That was your way of saying goodbye and kind of reliving that memory you had with her one last time.
It
I
was
never
your
thought of
time to do one last time with her.
Honestly, I never thought of it like that. For me, it was always kind of like a burden type thing where it was
No.
why did they just almost like everybody in the funeral home just kind of looked at me when it happened like they expected me to handle that too. And
But
it was but my grandma always she did her eyebrows way too dark. She always had way too hot pink of lipstick. She would proudly tell everybody I'm a winter. So
Mhm.
that was her color palette. So she had to do vibrant, cool colors. And I feel like had they tried to do her makeup,
It
it
wouldn't
wouldn't
have
have
come
been
out better.
yeah. And with me being so careful and having to go so slow and so soft,
Uh-huh.
she really, by the time I was done, everybody was crying for a different reason. It was, I haven't seen her look this good in 30 years. I've never seen her look more
Mhm.
beautiful, you know?
Mhm.
And so I could see that now. Thank you for pointing that out because I actually had a lot of bitterness and resentment about that. Like, why did they just all look at me and
No.
expect me to handle that too? That was very
Well,
traumatic at first, but
From the perspective of the staff there, for
Mhm.
one, shame on them for trying to shame you for doing that. Two, when you have something special with somebody, living or past, if you have a special thing with somebody, no one's going to really understand the significance or how special that is
yes.
besides you and that person. So the fact that they didn't understand it makes sense, but it wasn't for them to understand or to really get. It was about you.
Mhm.
Okay, so I feel like this is another one of those moments where that was supposed to I was supposed to forget how I got here and what I was talking about because
Mhm.
I feel like I was supposed to hear that from you and Vickie, but I did just all of a sudden, just on the fly, remember how we got here. What I was saying was it took me 18 months to process it. And the reason was every Sunday night after she passed, just like always when she was alive, only it was when I was asleep, I would meet her at either Wendy's or Taco Bell and order something off the value menu with her and sit and chat. And I would legit tell her about what was going on in my life, almost like it was lucid, but it wasn't. It was just
Mhm.
natural.
It's a
And
visitation.
yeah, she'd tell me what happened was like.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
She thought Elvis was going to be more handsome and younger. But I mean, she kind of bumped it up a little bit too
Coming
much.
from someone that used to work in a funeral home, it probably is better that you ended up doing her makeup because probably whoever told about how she wore her makeup and stuff. Some of the people that I've seen actually do the makeup in the funeral home and stuff. Yeah, it was probably a lot better.
They are not Revlon makeup counter makeup artists. No, they're
Let me
not.
tell you this. I might be a soft summer and she might have been a classic cool winter, as she loved telling everybody. But I will say this with my summer palette, those brows were snatched and those lips, they were ready for an Elvis smooch. If
She
he
was
was
popping.
if he was not saving those smooches for Priscilla when she finally gets to that, sacred ground, my Grammy was ready for a smooch because they were just on point.
That's right. That's right. Go Grammy. Like that.
Yeah,
I
she
was like,
probably went up there
no
like,
way, I'm sending
I
you to
look
heaven.
good. I look good. Where's Elvis at?
I bet she was. I was like, I am not sending you to heaven with nothing on your face. I know you too well for that. I'll make you look fierce, Grammy. It's your day.
When my mother passed away, they asked me about her colors, and I told them, I said, do not put her in bright red lipstick.
Mhm.
My mom never wore makeup ever. I said, you can put her in a wine color or a mauve and very natural looking makeup. I said, do not make her look like the old granny hooker type. Do not do
Mhm. Nope.
because you know what I mean? Because a lot of times they would do the older women and they would be whoosh. Like
Well,
they're,
experience.
you
Have you
know,
ever seen the channel Ask a Mortician? They go
Yeah,
over,
I've heard of it.
yeah, it's a fantastic, and I mean, maybe it's just because, been dead, came back, like, I just forgot where I put the house key, that type thing. But it's inexperience, and they overcompensate with saturation of color to make up for what they lack in replicating a natural flush or
yeah.
circulation. And I mean, maybe it's because I've watched Caitlin for 5 years now, minimum, on Ask a Mortician. But I mean, I know, honestly, like when I told her that, I hadn't seen the episode that Caitlin did about human composting. That's what I would like to do, and not ashes. I mean, you do still get ashes from human composting. They do make, it's just your bones though that are the ashes. But the rest of you, they send to an endangered forest, and it's super concentrated soil, and you give back to the earth. And I feel like, yeah, I mean, there's so much toxicity. I feel like I just attract it sometimes, where it's like, I would love to put something healthy back in this world. And then my kids can still have some ashes to shoot into the crowd. And, don't come to my funeral, by the way.
I love it. Trees growing in the ashes and rose bush. Even rose bushes. I've heard of that growing in the ashes, and I love that. What
Yeah,
I
they-
do find morbid.
Ashes, though, ashes are actually kind of toxic to trees.
Well,
So that's why it's like, I want to make it normal for people to like look into human, especially if you're afraid of being buried alive or being on fire during your cremation. There's no chance of that with the composting because you're at a comfortable 75 degrees, covered in natural herbs, and bathed in a cheesecloth shroud where all you got to do is knock on the door and they'll let you out if you're alive. I mean, come on.
right?
My
Yes.
luck, a bunch of hallucinogenic mushrooms would be growing on me, and my spirit and my ghost would be hallucinating all the time.
No. You don't get to go to heaven early. You wait your turn.
Y'all know what I find morbid, and no disrespect to anybody who's ever done it, but I just can't stand the thought. But there's people that take their loved ones' ashes and put them in a tattoo in their skin.
Oh, I've never heard of that one.
Oh my God! Yeah. So I'm like, people's houses get haunted all the time by people's ashes in an urn.
Mhm.
What if one day you're walking along and you got this tattoo on your leg and you just up and reach and kick somebody? You know what I'm saying? Because it's this other God, and you got tattooed with your damn leg, and the thought of somebody's dead body and cells.
Mhm.
I can't do it. But much love to everybody. Much
There's
love.
a company that will turn your ashes into an actual diamond.
Yeah.
Nah, I don't need
And they can turn it into jewelry too.
No,
Any
I
kind
don't
of
do it
jewelry.
anyways. No, but if my husband breaks our deal and he goes before me, I would get him in a tattoo and I would just wait. Like I go to bars on purpose and wait for somebody to like hit on me or say something inappropriate just so I could watch the power of On our second date, he broke a boxing machine at a bar.
Yeah.
Broke it.
Look, I just gave you the idea.
You did, but I would so do it. I would get it like I'd get a trashy ass barbed wire around my arm on purpose, just to
Just
be
so you
like,
can knock it out through there.
baby, you still there? Let's see. Let's wait. Maybe somebody will tell me they'll say the wrong thing, and I get to watch them fly across this bar.
Get,
Right?
get a shoulder tattoo. It's like float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Like someone mentions, boom.
You could get cremated and
I'm that kind of shit stirrer. I'm that kind of person to be an antagonist. But otherwise, I'm like, nah, let's not make any waves. Let's not cause any trouble. But if someone's going to hit on my husband's wife, you bet if I got his ashes and a tattoo, I'm going to wait and watch them fly.
you could have a crypt made out of your ashes as they're mixing the concrete or marble, however they do that. Dump your ashes right into it. Don't even be inside. Just have a door, whatever. It can be empty, but you're the whole structure.
Mhm.
Now, I've told my husband now, I have a husband who passed away with cancer. And we've got a rock up. And I've already got a place right beside him. But I've got 2 plots also beside that. And my husband now is like, well, what are you going to do? Because, see, my husband, my late husband, he told me, he's like, I know you're going to move on because you're young. Because my late husband, he was only 42 when he passed. And I was in my early 30s. And he's like, and I want you to move on. He's like, but I want you to promise me something. I said, what's that? He's like, I want you to promise that you'll be buried beside me. And I said, I'll be buried beside you. So my husband now, we talked about it because we've been together 11 something years, a little over 11 years. And I told him, I was like, when it comes to my time, I said, just go on and cremate me, put half of me over on his side, half of me over on your side, and we'll put a team rock where I'm over beside you. And that way I'm buried with both of them. I'll be, because like I will literally, my plot is in between where both of them will be buried, and just go ahead and put some ashes with him, some ashes with you, and we're good.
Because it's still sacred remains, but that's not where you are. Your energy can't be destroyed. It just continues. And I mean, that's where science again meets the spirituality of things, where it can't be destroyed, and they don't have an explanation for that. And I feel like that's where spirituality fills that gap in science. But it's not you anymore, but it was, so it's still precious. So I understand completely where one half of your life he was your husband and your soulmate, and the next half of your life, your husband now is your soulmate. To where that makes perfect sense to me. I mean, I still want to go airborne. That's just me.
You go airborne, baby. You go airborne.
Yeah, my kids can put some of the ashes and glitter in like an I Dream a Genie bottle and like keep it on a mantle somewhere. That's cool. But
Well, if we're still friends, I'm gonna fill a balloon with glitter. I'm gonna like, here's to you, Nikki girl, and I'm gonna let you go.
do it. Only maybe not, because I don't want to kill a bird.
Maybe I can find. Oh, I could do sugar bubbles.
No, you should just take you know what? I'm not saying I want to be in your bathwater or anything like that. You're a very attractive woman, but I am married. But just take a glitter bath bomb instead, and then just feel the glitter energy instead.
Okay, I can do that.
You're very attractive, but I'm married and faithful, and I don't want to be in your bathwater. Although I'm sure it's this ain't that type of channel. I heard.
No.
But seriously, you need to get to bed and tuck that beautiful husband of mine into bed and give him his cuddles. Otherwise, he's going to be a funky man until he sees the lunch I packed for him tomorrow. And if you want to see a peek at that, I did post a picture on my channel.
Okay.
It was, that was my finest plating also. Like, I usually struggle with plating. Usually it's like, I make a bomb ass meal and then it's like, I go to plate it and it's like, I tried. Do I get an A for effort? Great. It looks pretty substandard, but today was like on point with that too. So,
well, it was an honor having you up, and I hope that you all have a good sleep and a good day tomorrow. And
Back at you, buddies.
You know? And I'm sure Vickie will agree. You know, hopefully you come up again.
Absolutely.
Y'all, come on. You're
I
gonna
just
have
wish you
to
could have talked to Tanya, your baby.
Me too. Me too. I even sent Nikki, the other Nikki, a link so she could tell her past life journey because she was talking about Atlantis, and you know she had a fear of drowning too,
Oh,
but
wow.
it of standing on like the edge of the island and a wave coming over top and drowning, and
Wow.
it was in her comment. And that,
We might need a part 2. I didn't even get into seeing my dogs, my puppy Slevin, his past life,
Well,
and how he's brand new and only had one life before me. But I saw it, and oh my god,
oh
well,
wow,
before you leave, Nikki,
yeah.
we just hit the 3 hour and 17-second mark. We'll go ahead and end it, but we do an after party. So, you know, if you want just for a few minutes to finish, you can. Greg and Justin, same for you. PW, I already sent you the link for the after party. And,
Wait,
so,
what was the timestamp you just gave me?
3 hours, and now it's 3 hours and 40 seconds.
Okay, so I know where to pick up whenever he's good and snoozing in the sack. I can snuggle him up, make sure he's good, and saw on some real logs, and then I can just like boop, boop, right back on it.
Yeah, you got the link. As long as you got the link in Messenger, you can pop back on again.
Awesome.
But I'm gonna go ahead. We're gonna start with Justin because he's the first one down in the bottom right. Then we'll go over to Greg. Greg's in the bottom. Okay. Then Justin, then Nikki, and then Vickie.
Gotcha.
Go ahead, Greg.
Just say like your plug or something, or just like
just say good night and whatever you want to say, whatever you got to finish saying.
final thoughts.
No, this has been a really, really eye-opening conversation, and you know, a lot of this really cements like some of the things that I have been like interested in, been listening to, things like that about past lives and all that. And I'm like, Nikki, I think there definitely needs to be a part 2 because I have a lot of other past lives that I have seen as well. Yeah. But I guess my last plug would be like, hey guys, just come out and hang out with us at Octagon Hall. I mean, it's going to be an awesome time. The hall never disappoints. You get to see Justin do the Estes method. Hopefully, I don't get attacked or hit by anything like happens like 50% of the time. But we do have a few tickets left, and you can find those at on our Facebook at Paranormal Adventures Events. You can just put like Paranormal Events, like at Paranormal Events on Facebook, and it should bring up the Facebook page.
Well, the Octagon link is in the description too, so they can click on that and they'll find your guys' event part on there. So
yeah, that will take them directly to the ticket page. So you're next, I guess.
Just thank y'all. I mean, I know we already were talking about it, and not to rehash everything, but just thank y'all for being so open and hearing my stories, hearing my views or my discussion points, and you know, this is nothing but love in this space, and exactly, and everyone's here to support everybody, and that's how it should be, and that's, I think, how we like to hold our conversations, because that's how it should be.
It's very rare anymore too.
Yeah, that's true. But like Greg said, kind of ditto on that. Come and see us at Octagon Hall this Saturday, the 12th. It's going to be a great time. You know, hopefully every time I've been there, the spirits always kind of show out, and it's always a very lively investigation.
Mhm.
So come and see us. Come say hey. Stop in for a little while. Even if you come in a little late, pop in. It's going to be fun. We're going to have a good time. So thank y'all. Love y'all. And thanks for watching. Thanks for your comments. Thanks for all the sweet comments when I was talking about my grandfather. And love. Peace, love.
All right.
Good night, everybody. I hope you have sweet dreams. Dream about bunny rabbits and rainbows.
And I guess that's I don't know. She said hers, so I guess mine. Remember to everyone, you may be nothing. You may just be something that they sweep under the rug. But to someone, you are everything. Never forget that. Never ever forget it. With that said, I'm queuing up the video that everyone loves. Never give up. And if you're going through a hard time, please listen to the words. Please listen to these words. And with that said, deuces.
Is this what giving up feels like? I don't know, I don't know. Tell me, have I lost my mind? Nowhere to go, so far from home. Is this what giving up feels like? I don't know, I don't know. Tell me, have I lost my mind? So I break these walls and hold my head up high, and I stand my ground until the day I die. As the rain falls down, there's no more tears to cry, tears to cry. So I break these walls and hold my head up high. No, I'm not giving in. No, I'm not giving in.
You're gonna save it after part? It's right here.